This is Best Ball Whenever, and I am here with fellow one percenter, Best Ball Mania finalist, Megan Shoup here joining me, also of Fanspeak. Megan, I know you do a lot of great content over on the Fanspeak channel, which of course is linked in the description of this video if you want to go check out Megan's other content. But Megan, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Neil. I love your show and I'm so excited to be on. And yeah, I just love talking best ball, love listening to other best ball shows, and can't wait to talk, chat with you and draft with you.
Yeah, really excited to have you on. This is our first time doing a show together.
Yeah.
I've seen some of your other content. You do a lot of great content, so really
Well,
happy
thank you.
To draft with a fellow finalist, also both from the same year. Also, Megan and I were both finalists 2 years ago, so 2022, I guess. Best Ball Mania 3 finalists, and both we were just chatting before the show briefly about. I did not have any players from the Bengals Bills game.
Yeah.
Megan did have T Higgins that game, so had potential to move up at the very least because your wide receivers not doing very well.
They were my weak spot in that tour. Yeah, I was telling you to start the Thursday night game that year was Dallas, Tennessee, and I had a 4-man Dallas stack, and Dalton Schultz had I believe 2 touchdowns that game, and he was my tight end. And so Dak was all right, but like with Dalton Schultz at like I think 5% owned in the finals. I was sitting after Thursday night in second place, I believe, for $1 million or second place, whatever it was. It said $1 million. And I was like, well, I've never seen that before. And I wish I could end now, but it didn't. And my running backs were decent. Quarterbacks were average. The receivers were just terrible. So anyways, but it was it was the best sweat of my entire DFS, best ball, sports betting, whatever. So hooked on best ball ever since then, obviously.
Yeah. And you obviously finished pretty well and could have finished even. I mean, as I recall, T Higgins had actually started out pretty well in that game. It seemed like that game was just moving quickly. Like it looked like there was going to be a lot of scoring in that game.
It did.
And then it ended very prematurely. So you probably could have moved up a bit in that tournament. I don't know what your ceiling was. Obviously, I don't remember all the specifics of that, but yeah, kind of a bummer to lose out on that way. But we are going to hop into a couple of best ball drafts right now. I will get into one right away. Megan, do you have any like biases, favorite football team that we're
Washington fan. Unfortunately, it's a rough life to live. It makes me very resilient, I believe, as a person, and cynical.
Right.
So, yeah, Washington fan for life. Grew up in the Northern Virginia area, and live in Baltimore City now. So I'm a Washington fan in Ravens country. But yeah, did have multiple Washington guys. Carson Wentz was my third quarterback that came back for the finals that year and didn't do anything for me. But yeah, I do have a little bit of a Washington bias this year. I'm trying to be a little better about that and, temper my expectations with the rookie quarterback. So, but yes, in the past, I have gotten a little bit heavy handed on Washington players.
I do the same thing with the Vikings all the time. Always drafting a little bit more, but it makes it easier to cheer for your team and your fantasy team at the same time. I think it makes sense for us to, go a little bit Liam Murphy and draft our favorite teams a little bit. All right, I will jump into a draft right now. If anybody wants to join us, getting into BBM5, so come along, draft with us.
I see we have spread G for ours works for Fanspeak Network, so he's on our channel. Good to see him.
Let's go
in the chat.
That's fun. G4R, good to see you here. Yeah, I am getting a lot of Baltimore guests on.
I didn't realize there's a Baltimore contingent. I saw your guest the other day. What's his first name?
This is Jim here in Jim Waller.
Yeah, Jim. Yes. Jim, I would have to find out where you are in Baltimore. Need a Baltimore best ball meetup.
But as a Washington fan, how are you excited about Jaden Daniels?
Spread's going to laugh at us because we've debated this several times. So I'm a little cynical about the rushing quarterback built with a very slender frame. I lived through the RG3 and era, and it was so exciting that rookie year in 2012. But once he got injured, it was never the same. And I do think Jaden Daniels is a much better much better person, not a narcissist. And we got that going for us. And he seems like a really hard worker, and I really hope everything works out for him. But I am a bit cynical on the rushing quarterback with a slender frame. Little scared about that. I'm going to be honest. I wanted Drake May. That was my hope. I think he's built like a Ben Roethlisberger, Josh Allen type. Think he can withstand the hits a little better. But yeah, this is my cynical side coming out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as a Minnesota sports fan, I can relate to being cynical all the time about our teams. We've endured a lot of losing over the years, so it's hard to keep the faith. But
You
the
can
best thing,
appreciate it. Yeah.
yeah. The best thing that I can say about Jaden Downs, or the thing that like gave me the most hope was, I'm trying to remember who. I think it might have been Field Yates was on a podcast and mentioned that he has. I think he described it as like the Gumby kind of build. So like he described him as being a little bit more elastic. So maybe he can
Okay.
withstand hits better in some ways because of his elasticity. I don't know. Kind of just being hopeful, I guess. Who do you like at the start here? So McCaffrey and Lamb are off the board. We're the third picks. We could have Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. Anybody you like here?
I've been going Hill or Chase. I think you can't go wrong either way. We just took Chase in the last draft, but Hill or Chase, I'll leave it up to you.
So I have a lot of Chase already.
So let's go
I
Hill,
sometimes take Chase even with the 3, but I do want to have a fair amount of exposure to Hill. So let's go there.
We just did a draft, as you mentioned. My brother and I do a sibling showdown draft every Wednesday around lunchtime, and we just had the 3 spot, I believe, and took Chase. So yeah, kind of mixing it up. You got to mix up those, exposures there. So I like that.
On your sibling showdown show, do you draft against each other or do you draft together?
It would make sense that we would draft against each other based on the name, but we have been drafting together so far. We might start drafting against each other. That would make a little more sense based on the name of the show.
So I meant to ask also, did you max out BBM last year, or how much Underdog or how much best ball in general did you play last year?
Last year, I played almost 150. I played about one. It ended up being 130, but I tried to make sure that I did several other contests outside of BBM because I know it's a lotto when it comes down to it, and especially last year was. Now this year, I was going to cut back. I think I did 50 last year, and I was going to do about the same. And now I want to do more. Now I'm considering maxing it because of the way they structured the contest. Now it's still a lotto, and I want to make sure I'm saving my bankroll to do plenty of other, of those mid to not super high stakes, but mid stakes, somewhat high stakes, like the $100, $75. I believe Jim won the $75 contest. Right. I love that contest. I want to be able to do a lot of those too. And then some of those are 3 max or 5 max. I want to be able to do those. So I'd say I'll probably do most likely around 100 of BBM this year, and then kind of allot that other 50 drafts worth to do all those other, like I just did the single entry. What was the golden? That was just a $10 single entry. I want to make sure I'm hitting all those. Advanced rate, with the way it's structured, is going to be my focus this year, because too often I think I chose some tournaments last year that didn't have as good of an advanced rate structure, and I want to pay attention to that a lot this year.
It's definitely more fun when you have teams in the finals. It's such a bummer when you get to that week 17 and it's like, all these teams I've been cheering for all year are dead, which happens. I mean, it happens to most of us most years.
Right. I probably
need to do the same. Focus.
I had a like 27% advance. So out of 130 teams, give or take, I had a 27% advance rate on Underdog. I was very happy with that. Did great. Yeah. But, just things fell off the wagon in the quarterfinals and semifinals, and a lot because of some of those gauntlet advance rates. And so I didn't get to enjoy the finals. And I was so adamant about, the Detroit Dallas stack and that game. And that is what you wanted, but I didn't get to enjoy the fruits of my labor or my stand there because I didn't get to get a finals team last year. And so I really want to pay a lot better attention to that. I want to just enjoy a final sweat, whatever contest it is, whether it's BBM or something else.
It is such a bummer when you have the right, you reverse engineer what you want to happen, and you build for that scenario and you get the scenario right, but you don't get teams there. I had that a couple years ago with the Rams Bengals Super Bowl. I did several teams based on that and got 0 of them to the Super Bowl for a playoff best ball.
Right.
So that is the worst, when you kind of have the right vision, but you just you need to get lucky along that.
You need to push them through, those teams through. Exactly. Yeah. Yes.
Same thing this year with NBA playoff best ball. I drafted, of course, a bunch of shares of my Timberwolves because I always want to be drafting my Timberwolves.
Right.
And they all died in the first round because it was a sweep. So you only get fantasy points for those 4 games. So all my Timberwolves teams got knocked out. So kind of a bummer that I can't, celebrate my best ball teams as my Timberwolves are doing well. But it's all right. I can just cheer for my Timberwolves.
You're going to the Timberwolves game that you said tonight, so that's exciting.
I am. Yeah, I'm very excited to go. It's we're all playing the game of we want to go to every game, but they're getting more expensive now as they go deeper into the playoffs. But I am going tonight. Might be my only game of the series. We'll see if they have.
I'm rooting for you, for them, and hope you see a win tonight.
Are you an NBA fan in general?
Casually, not like a diehard Wizards fan or anything like that. It's it's been Washington football above it. I can't say Commanders. That's such a dorky name, but it's Washington football for me above everything else. So what do we got here?
So Kyron Williams is top of the ADP board. Debo Samuel, Nico Collins, Mike Evans. Do you have anybody that you really like here?
I mean, honestly, I'm fine. If you want to do a hero build, I still love Kyron. And then, but I do love getting access to 49ers and Houston and all those. I like Mike Evans. So I'm fine with any of those guys. I'll let you choose who you are leaning the most.
Let's go Kyron. That's kind of a fun. I do like the hero build a little bit. And there is a part of me that's like, should I be drafting Blake Corum now? What they're talking about the foot injury, which
I think he's going to get steamed up because, that's why I was trying. I think, these kind of things, as long as he's going to be fine for training camp and, preseason and season, who cares if he kind of needs to take it easy right now. So, I think if, Kyron falls at all, we take advantage of that right now.
I thought about doing, and part of me thinks maybe I should have Debo Samuel. And then with this next pick, we could either go correlate the Dolphins by taking Jalen Waddle, get Waddle and Hill, or Laporta as a bring back on
to the 49ers 17. Yeah.
Could have done that, but honestly, I think I'm okay with this also.
So are we up in one?
We are up with the next pick. So we have
you still got all those guys kind of there. I mean, all those receivers.
With Debo falling this far, do we just take the value?
I think you go Debo. Yeah. Okay. I like that a lot.
Are you somebody who memorizes the week 17, week 16?
I'm working on it. I'm not quite there yet. I have it pulled up in another tab. I made a little chart based on the weather, the dome games, and then I just highlighted the games that are in Florida and California because we can't predict the weather anywhere else. Yeah. But we know outside of rain, it should be good weather, warmer weather in Florida and California. So I highlighted those in the dome games for the playoff schedule. And so I'm still working on memorizing it. Don't have it memorized yet, but working on it.
There was now I'm trying to remember his name. Tommy Howley was here yesterday, and he created a little quiz for memorizing week 17.
I've seen that going around Twitter.
Times.
Okay, yeah. The flashcard thing.
It's maybe there are different ways to do the quiz. I did one where it's like, you're like pairing different teams to figure out the matchups for week 17.
Okay.
It's like a little Quizlet.com is the site that it's on, which I honestly am not really familiar with, but
I'll have to check that out.
That's where he's hosting it. Yeah, and I guess that's a good time to remind people to join my Discord. The link is in the description of this video. I did post the link in my Discord yesterday in the Best Ball channel. So if anybody who's in my Discord wants to go find that, you can go find that Quizlet there. And if you're not in the Discord yet, go ahead and join the Flannelverse Discord. Like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, etc., etc. Have to give that reminder, once per show at least.
Of course, absolutely.
And I saw Tyler saying, "Smash that like." Yeah, thank you, Tyler. Thanks for the reminder. What do you think Tyler means by this? He says, if you're not steaming up Algier, you shouldn't be steaming Corum.
Because Bijan has like a little ankle thing right now.
I missed that.
So yeah, but that's what I mean. As long as these guys are fine, like if Bijan or Kyron fall, take advantage. And, to me, I would maybe hold off and let the steam die on their backups because I just think that's a little unnecessary steam right now. Tyler, that's from the Fantasy Sanctuary, right?
Correct. Yeah.
I'm having him on the Fanspeak Network Friday, Friends of Best Ball at 1:00. So good to see you, Tyler.
That'll be good. I always enjoy Tyler's appearances on shows, so I'll have to check that one out for sure.
Yep. He was on your show recently, right?
He was. Yeah. He was on last
I watched
week.
that. Okay, and then I watched Tom's episode yesterday. So yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and we got Felix in chat. I love Felix.
Now when Felix shows up, that we now
can't
have
draft
to
Najee. No Najee shares. Exactly.
Well, so my rule is if he shows up, then we have to draft Najee. If he doesn't show up, that's when it's like, no, I'm laying off.
Is he in the draft?
No, but I mean in chat, not the
draft. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know if he was in the draft because he was in the draft with us in the show.
I don't think he is. Let me see.
A couple of hours. His name's Pequant,
yep.
I believe. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, he's not in this draft with us.
Okay. So he was in the draft with me, and I was talking about. I was like, well, we could queue up Najee, and I was like, never mind. Felix is going to take him, and sure enough, he did.
Yeah. Felix is nutty about his Najee. He takes him in every draft. I think he said he has like 97% exposure, and I thought he said that in the chat in one of my streams, and I thought he was joking when he said it, and then repeated it in his own stream last night when I was watching. So apparently he's actually just taking Najee.
Yeah, well,
If he went
he's
MVP.
told me the story that, it was a last minute Najee run that won him the $1 million. And I'll
Yeah.
tell you what, if any player does that for me and wins me $1 million, I'll probably have a 90+% exposure to of loyalty as well. I appreciate the loyalty.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Maybe more fun to cheer for the guy who's gotten you there in the past.
Yes, definitely. Oh, so we're coming back up. Okay.
We are coming back up. So we have Kyron, Tyreek Hill, and Debo. I don't see any obvious like correlation pieces.
Right.
Here, so
that's what I was just looking for too.
Because it looks like Cooper Kupp is gone. I haven't drafted a lot of George Pickens. We could if you like him.
I like Pickens this year. I mean, speaking of Pittsburgh, I actually like Pittsburgh with the Arthur Smith offense, so I don't mind him there because I don't see any other receivers that are really sticking out to me. I guess Christian Kirk a little bit later, but
yeah, there's Christian Kirk. Yeah, let's just go Pickens and see what comes back around.
So then we start 1-3 then, right? I like that.
1-3. So I'm usually an elite tight end guy with Andrews, Kincaid, that kind of group. Kyle Pitts. I love all those guys.
I love the Falcons.
How do you feel
this year? Last year I was an absolute late tight end girl. Absolute leaned into the late tight end build. Very high in Laporta. Was obsessed with Laporta. 50+% export Laporta last year. And he was going so late to start. He really didn't start getting steamed up till the end of July, early August. So I do love the late round tight end build, but I do have to say this year there are a lot of tight ends in that 40 to 100 range that I do really, really like this year. And I can really see the case for them being a hero in the regular season and playoffs. So I like the Kincaid. I like the Pitts. I love that Atlanta Falcons playoff schedule. So love that. You could definitely set that up for a nice, back stack with Cousins. So yeah, any tight ends here that you're looking at?
So I think here it would probably be Andrews if we took a tight end. We could also try and push it or I guess Kincaid is here too still.
Okay.
We could also push it and try to see if we get Kittle to add to our San Francisco stack.
That's true.
Do you like either of these tight ends or anybody? I mean, James Cook, Christian Kirk, anybody else?
I like Christian Kirk. I like I do like all three of those tight ends. So if one of them stands out to you more, but if you wanted to wait on Kittle, that makes a ton of sense too.
All right, let's go Kincaid here.
I like that. I think he's going to be the kind of wide receiver one, kind of that Kelsey-esque role for the Bills. I do like Keon Coleman, but I think he's really going to play that Kelsey soaking up all the targets for the Bills.
Yeah. One other thought that I was just kind of having and didn't really flesh it out though. I was debating whether we should take Anthony Richardson here. You just noted before the show that Michael Pittman may have suffered an injury today.
I just saw something on Twitter that he was being walked off with a trainer, but I literally just saw it and then it went. So I don't have any updates on that.
Yeah, so we know nothing, but
we know nothing. But
maybe now, if
there might be something.
Yeah, right. Then we could take Anthony Richardson, get his wide receiver one in Josh Downs or A.D. Mitchell if Pittman is hurt or something. I don't know. I was trying to think through could this benefit us in some way, but more likely he's going to be worse because he lost his alpha receiver. I don't know.
I mean, he's obviously leans into the run too. So I mean, I don't think you need to force any massive stacks with those running quarterbacks. So if he came back, what's our next pick number that we're up
next
at?
Pick is 70, so we're probably not going to get him.
Right.
You never know though. I don't think I've seen him fall that far.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I am trying to get more of him this year. I am, and Spread and Chat will laugh because, or anybody that's listening to me talk about quarterbacks, I do like 3 quarterback builds. Might be a little more on an island there in some cases, even with some guys, especially with the running quarterbacks, just because, if they get knocked out for 3-4 weeks, you can sustain that with 2 other quarterbacks. And so I do want to, I shied off him last year and then I saw the potential and I was like, whoa, I definitely want to be in on Anthony Richardson this year. And the other, obviously I like a lot of the other running quarterbacks too, but I do actually make sure I do them in 3 quarterback builds.
I feel like with your concerns about Jaden Daniels' health, like he's somebody you could, I mean, he goes pretty late. So like if you want a rushing quarterback, he is somebody that sort of makes sense with a 3 quarterback build, right? So have
Yeah.
you been drafting him at all despite your concerns, or are you just like, I'm going to stay away and take other quarterbacks that I think are going to stay healthy?
Last year, my brother did a good article on rookie quarterbacks and how, kind of against Anthony Richardson because he was going so early. He was like QB9 last year. And so
Yeah.
kind of staying away that's an outlier for those Cam Newton, RG3, Justin Herbert type seasons, that those are more of an outlier. And then I kind of stay off the rookie quarterbacks last year. Richardson got hurt, but then Stroud goes out and proves us all wrong on the rookie quarterback thing. So, I am a little more cautious with rookie quarterbacks because I still believe, even with what we saw from Stroud last year, that is the outlier, more the exception, not the rule. And with that said, there are going to be Caleb Williams, I think, could absolutely put up a Stroud type season with the weapons around him. So I want a lot of Caleb Williams, and I definitely want some Jaden Daniels. But yes, I definitely will be backing that up with 2 other quarterbacks with Daniels.
Yeah, I think that makes, and the nice thing is he goes later than Anthony Richardson was going last year, so it's a little bit easier to put him in a 3 quarterback build.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, so we are coming up on our pick again in 2 more picks before ours. Let's see. Kittle did go. I was thinking he was still there. Okay. Well, it's a good thing that we got Kincaid then, I guess.
Yes, absolutely. So what number are we coming up at?
So we are the next pick at pick 70.
Okay.
So no great ADP fallers here. Top at ADP would be Jordan Addison. We also have Ladd McConkey here. Keon Coleman, we could add him onto a Buffalo secondary stack. Chris Godwin. Anybody that you really like at the top of the board here?
I do like Ladd McConkey a lot, and it gives you an option to stack with Herbert. I don't know if you've done that a ton or if that's something. Yeah. So I do love that, though. I think he's going to be Herbert's wide receiver 1. Speaking of Kincaid being kind of the wide receiver 1, I think he's going to be the wide receiver 1 target in for the Chargers. So I like that. And then it gives you a really nice stack option with being able to queue up or look for Herbert. I can't believe how late he's going this year. And I understand his weapons are, more depleted than last year, but they beefed up the offensive line. Yeah, they might be a little more run heavy, but hopefully, they're still putting him in situations, we're hunting touchdowns. And if they're putting him in situations to still score, then I think he's going way too late.
Yeah, I do really like him where he is going. I've been doing a lot of the Herbert with Ladd or Herbert with Josh Palmer, because they kind of get them at a turn there where, it's good like backup option there. And I really like Josh Palmer here. I think, as you say, Ladd McConkey, there's a pretty good chance he's the wide receiver 1, but I don't think it's out of the question that it is Josh Palmer also. So, or both could be good for their ADP. So I've been drafting a lot of both Chargers receivers. All right, so we are up. We could add on another rookie in Brian Thomas Jr. or Evan Ingram if we want to finish our tight end room. One of these running backs. Who do you like here?
I also like David Montgomery if you did want to go a second running back here. And then, I believe I just took Brian Thomas Jr. and I like the Jacksonville offense. So I'd say one of those 2 are my favorites, but I'll leave it up to you.
All right, let's go Monk. I haven't got a lot of Montgomery, and I feel like it's a mistake to not be drafting much.
I haven't as enough yet, too, just like the pockets I'm hitting. And so far, obviously we're still early in draft season.
It's just if you're doing a lot of like 0 RB, I kind of feel like I'm usually drafting a quarterback or tight end on that turn. So I'm not getting a lot of David Montgomery, but like I think he's good. So I, don't want to be completely out there.
And, something I realized last year, because I was so high on Detroit as a team, and it just kind of blew me away how run heavy, and obviously Ben Johnson did not come to Washington and is still in Detroit, how run heavy they seem to get inside the red zone. And that goes for Gibbs or Montgomery. I mean, I think at the beginning it was all Montgomery, and it's both of them. But I mean, I just think when they get in the red zone, and they get in the red zone a lot, it seems to be, and that doesn't mean I'm going to shy off Goff stacks, but they definitely can get a bit run heavy inside the red zone. And so I really like, targeting both those running backs.
Yeah, I think they both. Do you draft them together, or do you like to do
I haven't yet. The only handcuffs that I've kind of drafted together are kind of like ones that I can maybe get one like a lot later. Like I've drafted Derrick Henry and Keaton Mitchell together. I'm trying to think of other ones I've drafted together. Or I don't mind if you can get like 2 that are both a little later. The Washington guys go like right together, but Pittsburgh
guys kind of too.
Yeah, Pittsburgh guys go kind of right together, but later. I just Yeah, if one's really high, like a Gibbs, I don't know that I feel comfortable with that. But if you can get like one mid, one late, or one like third or fourth round, one late, or two maybe middle, I don't mind that. I think it's just situation dependent, like you said.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. Haven't done a ton of handcuffing, but I'm more open minded to it this year than I have been in the past. Like in the past, I've been kind of like not going to handcuff my running backs. I'm shooting for upside, but
Yeah.
you don't really need the omega upside at every single spot since you have 18 players. So I'm trying to back off a little bit and play a little bit more like maybe you can do both. Maybe there are ways that ends up working
Yeah,
out.
I like being open to it, like you said. Josh McCaffrey asked where I'm at on Rashee Rice. I know I basically have no exposure to him yet. I don't know where you're at. I thought I read something about the charges of, I mean, there's so much stuff out there on him of something being dropped, but I'm just not confident. There just feels like so much smoke there with him that I'm not confident there's not going to be some suspension of at least 6+ games. It just makes me a little wary right now. I'd like to see him fall a little bit more. So I haven't touched him yet, to be quite honest. How about you?
I haven't really recently. I for a little while after the car crash, I was still in on him as he fell, and I was like, all right, I'm just gonna like hope that that he doesn't get suspended or not suspended very long this season. I feel like I've sort of stopped drafting him in part because I'm less convinced that he is actually like their best receiver than I was last year. Like he was obviously very good last year, but like,
Right.
and if I knew that I could get last year's production for 12 games of the regular for the playoffs and half the regular season, then I would still be in on it. But I'm not convinced that he's going to be as good as he was last year or as involved, I guess, as he was last year. So I kind of feel
Yeah,
like
they really
there's,
beefed up that receiver room. So
yeah.
yeah.
And he was very like, he was the outlet, like the last minute kind of
Yeah.
save Patrick Mahomes kind of guy, not really like the first look guy. And I feel like with better other receivers, that's going to be less useful. So just the combination of like some concern about him missing a good amount of time, and then also like, is he actually going to be good when he plays? I'm kind of out right now.
So what
All right,
pick number are we at right now?
we are at 94 right now.
What number is Tua? He's more in the hundreds, right?
Yeah, he's past 100. We could get him with our
Okay.
next pick if we
Okay.
want him.
So
We
who
go
are you
Raheem
eyeing up
Mostert,
here?
if we want to add on to the
The
Miami stack.
correlation. Yeah, I like that. And then is that Jameson Williams?
Yeah,
And that's Detroit correlation. So I like either of
oh,
those.
that's true. Yeah, I forgot we had. Yeah, that's a good point. All right, so we have two pieces of Miami now. With our next pick, we could get our first quarterback, and it could be either of Tua or Brock Purdy are both available at this next pick. Would you rather just do Tua for the Miami correlation, or
So
I mean, we could
have,
also push it if you want to do three quarterbacks. No reason we need to force one right now.
I mean, I like both Tua or Purdy as the first quarterback. So I would love to take one of them here. I think you could go either one. I think obviously the 49ers have the better playoff schedule, but
True.
I'm fine with either one here.
And we also have the Detroit bringback already sort of working in there.
Yeah. I forgot about that.
So I think that makes sense.
I think that makes sense. I like that a lot. What week I'm trying to pay attention more to bye weeks now. The 49ers bye
point.
week is,
So 49 is week 9. I've got it up
okay,
here.
that helps. That's on a bye week with literally only the Steelers, so that's good.
Yep. Oh, you've already got the bye weeks memorized.
I just pulled it up. My brother
okay.
just did an article on Fanspeak, like breaking down the bye weeks and who they're paired with to kind of keep an eye on that, because I definitely don't have them memorized. Thank goodness they're in the queue now, because I was
really
struggling to remember that.
Yeah, by probably in a month or so, I'll have them mostly memorized. But yeah, for right now, very much reliant on it being in the queue.
And the week 12 and week 14 are tough. There's a lot of good teams
that's what I've heard.
Have the same bye week, so that is tough. So I kind of like in that week 9 bye with only one other team that can be concerned with.
It was the same thing last year with like week 7 and 13, just like all the teams I wanted to draft. Yeah. So I have not acknowledged the people that we are drafting with yet, and I see a couple familiar names. Bobby Gomes, of course, in here drafting with us. Good to see Bobby here, and I see Jim is also in here with us.
Nice.
Jim Waller. So we've got a couple familiar names here. I don't know if I know anybody else. If anybody else is drafting with us, give us a shout.
Is Spread a Stare in there?
Is he? I don't see the name anywhere.
Okay, because he was in our last chat. So, and then, he and Felix were in our last chat, and then I saw them in chat, so I was just checking to see.
Gotcha. All right, I guess we are. No, we got a little time, so I can. I have also not been acknowledging anybody in chat very much. So let me see what we are talking about in chat. Yeah, Jim in Baltimore. Yeah,
I'm in
Adam,
Canton
ship my
too. I
money.
saw that earlier. I'm
Oh,
in
you are?
Canton
Oh,
too. So
funny.
you'll have to let me know where in Canton you are. I'm not only a couple blocks off O'Donnell Square. So
Canton is the NFL Hall of Fame, right?
it is, but it's a neighborhood in Baltimore, the Canton
Oh,
neighborhood.
yeah, Canton's also that's in Ohio, right? Canton.
Yeah,
The Hall
Canton.
of Fame. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
right.
right.
So Canton's just a little down from Fells Point and neighborhood in Baltimore.
Oh, cool.
So Jim and I are in the same neighborhood.
Very cool. I have not noticed. Jim says that this room loves RBs. Apparently, I hadn't noticed
Maybe it
that.
started a little RB heavier compared to some rooms are so wide receiver heavy.
Yeah. Yeah. Apologies to Felix for not getting Najee after we said we're going to draft him.
We let Felix down.
Appreciate you stopping by, Sacrilegious. Always good to see Sack in here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know where we're talking about Felix's Najee tattoo in an undisclosed location. Felix, where is this Najee tattoo? It would not. Do you believe that Felix has a Najee tattoo?
I would not be surprised. I appreciate the dedication. Again, if a man ever wins me $1 million, I will have the same level of dedication. So I get it. I totally get it.
Very, very
not
loyal
mad, just
man.
disappointed.
Yeah. Jaden Washington, because I'm trusting Adam Peters, Joseph says.
Yeah, I'm trying to trust the process as well. Absolutely.
Okay, so Hoosier says Pittman up. Pittman was down after a collision in 11 on 11, finally got up limping. Report said it wasn't nothing. Ooh. So what does that mean? Is the double negative, like, do they mean it actually wasn't nothing? So it was something, or
maybe that means it sounds like it's something, but hopefully nothing major, but it wasn't nothing. That doesn't give me still a ton of confidence. So
no. But also sometimes people like speak like that when they actually mean it was nothing. So I don't know. We'll have to await more news, I suppose. All right.
It's crazy when you get information on streams. Last year, I was doing a stream with Justin Herzig, actually, and I was trying to draft Corey Davis. He talked me off of it. We get off the stream, and Corey Davis retired, and I had a bunch of shares of Corey Davis already. Oh. But anyways, so what pick number are we coming up at?
So we are coming up at 118. We could add to our quarterback room here. We do have the Miami Mostert and Hill, and Tua is still sitting there, at least for now. We also could do Palmer and then take Herbert with the next pick, since we have,
because we're a little light on receivers, right?
We have 4 receivers. Yeah.
Okay. I wouldn't mind the Palmer Herbert thing just to shore up the receiver position a little bit more before it gets thin,
Also gives us the optionality now. We took Palmer, and now it's like one of Tua or Herbert probably comes back to us.
Hopefully,
so we can just take our pick.
And neither of those have a bye week issue with Purdy, because we're only working with the Steelers, so that's nice.
Yeah, and this is so in your mind, is this shaping up to be a 3 quarterback room again for, since you like the 3 quarterback, got our first quarterback at pick 99? Is this where would this be a 3 quarterback room for you if we get Purdy and
and I know, like, going 2 back-to-back here within 2 rounds, if we're able to get to our Purdy, or excuse me, to our Herbert, would be kind of close. And again, it's all with best ball 101. It's quality or quantity, not both. And I understand that, and I try to keep that in mind with the 3 quarterback thing. So this is a lot in the middle. Maybe we'd wait. I would maybe still consider one very, very late, and there are a couple that I like very, very late. So so do we have both options?
We do have both options. So I could go either way here. We have a double stack with both options as well. Do you have a preference between these two?
I really don't. I love both. I mean, I think with Miami, I think he was the first pick with Hill, so I'd say go Miami.
All right, we'll do that. And honestly, I did a draft earlier where Herbert actually came back around to what would be our next pick. He falls sometimes.
Yeah. And I pulled up my best ball chart mainly with the highlighted weather. And what's nice is sometimes you can get that intersecting correlation. So with Miami, Where'd it go? They play San Francisco at home in Miami. It's my yellow highlighted, meaning it's in Florida. Week 16, and we know week
Oh,
16 is
okay.
pretty darn important this year too. So I kind of like that with that
Yeah,
intersecting correlation.
that's great. Yeah, that is. I did not realize that. I've not memorized. Definitely haven't memorized week
I have a
16.
lot to memorize. Bye
Yeah,
weeks, the playoff schedules,
yeah.
those teams that can intersect nicely. That it happened for us in the last draft I just did with my brother. We had Cincinnati as our main stack, and then we got Tennessee, a Levis stack, and a Baker stack, and just somehow I guess some of those three teams kind of intersected in the playoffs nicely. That I
Very
felt good
nice.
about it. So
Yeah, that's awesome. Um, Jewish McCaffrey asks, Neil and Meg, do you guys have a favorite late round quarterback? Do you have somebody you like, Megan?
I mean, he's not late. My favorite, like probably if we would have, waited to spread it out a little bit further, probably my favorite later guy is Levis, who I took in the last draft. I really believe in this Tennessee offense to have a nice breakout year with Callahan coming over from Cincinnati, with bringing Ridley over, Pollard. They shored up the offensive line with a tackle as their first pick. So I'm just really high on the Tennessee offense to be an undervalued offense and a team that I like to stack up. So Levis is probably my favorite late round guy, but he's not, I want to say, what is he going around? More like round 15,
Yeah, like end
probably.
of round 15, early 16, I want to
Okay,
say.
so
That's
he'd be
pretty
my
right.
favorite. So, but I'm not shy about taking like a Bryce Young. I mean, I think we know Dave Canales is the quarterback whisperer. He did it for Geno. He did it for Baker. Can he do it for Bryce Young? I also just happen to love Jatavion Sanders. I do not love the Ben Sinnott steam. I don't understand
Okay.
actually. And so I wrote an article about that. I'm actually doing a quick short about that after we get off. But I'm big. I think Jatavion Sanders is this year's Sam Laporta, in that there's literally nobody ahead of him. No, that was Sam Laporta. No, there was Brock Wright and James Mitchell. For Jatavion Sanders, there is literally nobody ahead of him. Ian Thomas, there's nobody you're scared of for him to be. And I just think he could be like the second or third weapon, a big red zone weapon. Whereas Washington, there's just more, Terry's the only alpha, McLaurin's the only alpha, but there's more mouths to feed there. And I also think with a running rookie quarterback, the volume could be down, similar to like a Justin Fields offense, where you might only be getting like 26 to 32 attempts a game. And if that's the case, how are you going to feed all those mouths? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, totally. That makes sense. I'd say I'm a little bit light on Ben Sinnott so far. I'm usually taking him when I'm pairing him with Jaden Daniels. Like if I take Jaden Daniels, I'm willing to reach a little bit on Ben Sinnott, but I've been largely with you. I think that I'm not totally buying the steam just yet.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'll watch something sometime this summer where Pat Corain or Pete Overzet or somebody convinces me that I should be in on him. But for now, I'm laying low. We get Herbert to fall all the way to 142. Do we want to just do 3 quarterbacks here, or?
I mean, those are 3 stud quarterbacks. And again, it's about the stacks you're building out. So it fell to us. I mean, it's definitely earlier than I typically do. We'll just have to find some better. But I think with only needing 2 tight ends, I don't mind that, because we got to.
Yeah. Now we're obviously definitely done at quarterback now.
Yep.
But those are really, really strong quarterback room.
Yeah. And that's what's nice this year is the quarterbacks fell all the way kind of down the board. The elites fell a couple rounds, and then what I can still consider elites like Dak and Burrow and Herbert, fell down. And so you're that middle area here in the 7th through, what round are we in now? 13th?
We are in the 13th.
Yeah, the 7th through 13th round. I mean, this is usually what I do is get at least 2 here and then 1 late. But I mean, getting 3 here, you have like 3 really, really, really high-end stacks. And again, I don't just do it I'll say it after our pick here. So what running backs?
We could add Pearsall to our stack, or we could take one of these running backs.
I don't mind that. I do love Ty Chandler. I don't know how you feel about him as a Vikings fan.
Yeah, I like Ty Chandler. Yeah.
So I would say him or Pearsall.
Okay.
I also like Polk, if that's, I know
he is a bring back for us, right? In the Chargers.
Yep.
I think.
Yep.
We went with Ty Chandler. I couldn't make up my mind who.
That's a solid.
Really good
is it our 3rd or 4th running back?
That is our 4th running back.
Okay, I think that's a really solid 4th running back. So I don't mind that. And then you've got the Polk bring back option if he falls to us. And then if not,
we do still have. I kind of like a lot of these wide receivers in this range. How do you feel about McCaffrey as a Washington fan?
Well, I
Luke
love the
McCaffrey.
name value. I mean,
Sure.
obviously, as a fan, I love the pick, and I think the future is great this year. Where's he gonna? I kind of like compare this Washington offense that I think they don't want to do what they did to Sam Howell last year, which was make him drop back 50 times
Yeah.
and just like they did not shore up the offensive line enough, in my opinion, and a lot of Washington fans' opinion, I think. So I don't think they're going to drop him back as much as maybe some people think. I think they're going to be run heavy with him and Eckler and Brian Robinson. So I like those three. And then I just worry about the whole how can you feed all these receivers situation. When you look at the Justin Fields offense, it was really just one alpha receiver and Komet, and I know that's a tight end, but I'm skeptical it's going to be Sinet. So I really trust Terry. And outside of McLaurin, if Dotson falls at value, if McCaffrey falls at value, I'll take it. But I definitely don't see like stacking up 3 or 4 Washington receivers. I don't see how that would get there this year. I could see it very much like a Bears like passing volume this year.
Like you just want like 1 or 2 receivers paired with, that makes sense. He's been kind of, I think McCaffrey for me is like the end of a range. Like I like him a little bit less than a lot of these other, like Jermaine Burton, Polk, a lot of the other wide receivers, rookie wide receivers kind of in this range. So I
do kind of like a lot of those rookie wide receivers, to your point. Yeah. I do like Polk. I like the Steelers, Roman Wilson. I think he's going to slide right into that Deontay Johnson role. So there's a lot of those rookie receivers in that range that I like. It's a nice range.
Yeah. I think this is the earliest I've seen Jermaine Burton go, which I don't have any. I wonder if this guy is Burrow. No, he doesn't have Burrow. I do sometimes. I'll take him a little bit earlier when I have Burrow. Then I really like to get Jermaine Burton.
Well, Higgins is still, I'm sure everything will work out, but at this point, he's still kind of holding out, isn't it, OTAs and everything, right?
Yeah. Yep. Which like you said, it's probably going to work out in the end. But even if it does, like Jermaine Burton, I think the likely wide receiver 3, Yoshevich is still there, and I think Yoshevich is pretty good. So there's no guarantee that it's Burton, but at least competing for that wide receiver 3 spot in the offense. So all right, so let's take a look at our team and think about our team needs.
Absolutely.
So we have Purdy, Tua, and Herbert at quarterback. At running back, we have Kyron Williams, David Montgomery, Raheem Mostert, Ty Chandler. At wide receiver, we have Tyreek Hill, Deebo Samuel, George Pickens, Ladd McConkey, Josh Palmer, and then just Dalton Kincaid at tight end. So we need one more tight end, I would say.
Right.
It's probably going to be enough for us. I think we need to load up on some wide receivers at this point.
Yes.
Our 4th receiver not until pick 70, 5th not till 118. So I feel like we're a little bit light there.
Maybe it ends up being like a 3-5, 8-2. Does that
sounds right? Yeah.
Work out.
yeah. I think that's probably where we're headed.
Yeah, I like that. Honestly, I feel really good with the start. Because I think I know Hayden Wings talks about a lot. It's like what you do at the start of your your kind of your core, your first 10 picks or so, and I think what we did here with our core, I really like it. So yeah,
I do too. I think it's a strong core.
So adding another running back and one running back, 1 tight end, and three receivers. Yeah, I think I like it.
I was disappointed to see Jaleel McLaughlin. He's kind of my safety valve. That was kind of when we were picking Ty Chandler, my hesitation was like, but we can get Jaleel McLaughlin with the last pick. So I'm glad we took Ty Chandler because Jaleel McLaughlin did come off the board.
Okay.
All right. So coming up on our pick, Malachi Corley goes. So Ricky Pearsall's still here. I think with our correlation, probably makes sense for us.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah.
Right now we just have a single stack. Yeah.
Right. No, I like that a lot. I'm surprised he fell back to us. That's great.
Yeah, I did not anticipate him coming back to us. It's tough because in a vacuum, I think I actually prefer Roman Wilson, but since we have Purdy, I broke the tie there. How do you feel about them?
And we took Pickens already too, didn't we?
We did take Pickens already.
Yeah. So I'm fine with, especially since we weren't going to target a Steelers quarterback, which I've been targeting Wilson or Russ. I know that's kind of a debate in the best ball world right now, but I've been targeting Russ, kind of believing they said it's kind of his job, and I think he'll keep it. So drafting it like that.
So I've been doing the opposite. Well, all right, let's make our pick here.
Sure.
Like any of? I wouldn't hate Juwan Johnson as our tight end too. Tyrone Tracy, totally fine. If you like Troy Franklin, do you have any opinions on anybody you really love in this range?
I don't have a strong lean in this range, so I'll defer to you if there's anybody that you lean in stronger. There's not one that I like more than the other.
I think let's go Tyrone Tracy.
Okay, so then so we're done at running back then too.
Done at running back. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is a good team to have Tyrone Tracy on, because
Mm-hmm.
our top three are all like, the vets that should be good at the beginning of the year. So adding on a Tyrone Tracy who like could be the starter by the end of the year kind of makes sense to me.
And same with the, Ty Chandler. I don't know how you feel. I mean, Aaron Jones can get banged up, and I still think they're gonna, find a role for him. So yeah, I like those back of the running back room a lot.
Yeah.
Someone asked about this year's Quentin Johnson. Do you mind if I answer this?
Oh no, go ahead.
Actually, now I forget his. No, I forget his first name. But my brother has nailed this 2 years in a row. So 2 years ago, I was drafting Treylon Burks, and he was like, "I wouldn't do that. He's too raw. I wouldn't do that." And then last year, I started drafting Quentin John because I was obsessed with Charger stacks, and he was like, "I wouldn't do that." And he part of what Fanspeak is, and we've evolved, is we have a lot of NFL draft tools, and so my brother does a lot of that kind of prospect scouting and stuff. And he said the guy that's really, really raw this year that is getting pushed up by draft capital is Xavier Legette to the Panthers.
I hope Bindos doesn't hear you say that.
Okay.
He's a huge Xavier Legette guy.
Okay. So anyways, his Quentin Johnson this year is Legette just thinks he's raw. He's been right 2 years in a row, but hey, he could be wrong this year. We don't know.
maybe he's due for regression.
He's due. Yeah. Yes. He's due for regression on which rookie to stay away from. Maybe that's another reason I do like Jatavion Sanders.
Yeah, right. That's a good reason to like him.
As a late round, if you want to do like a late round Bryce, not in our draft, but if you want to do a late round Bryce Young stack, you can get those super late, Bryce Young and Jatavion Sanders. So.
Yeah, that's another fun safety valve doing the late Bryce Young thing. I guess I never answered the question earlier of like favorite late round quarterback, and for me, it's been typically Bo Nix. It has been my kind of
I like that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he's a rookie, we know. I mean, his competition is no one, so we know he's gonna. We know he's gonna start, and based on the draft capital they spent on him, I'm sure they're not going to be pulling him right away. So I like the Bo Nix pick.
Yeah.
Still like Cortland Sutton a lot this year too. I mean, he was just a touchdown monster last year. So.
Yep. All right. Let's see. Somebody just sent me a cheat sheet that he made in Discord. I saw in chat that he mentioned that. So let me see if I can pull this up if we want to take a look at the handy. Hang on. From Hoosier Devo. Appreciate you.
Oh, nice.
I will.
Oh, playoff bye week cheat sheet. Nice.
Oh, maybe I can't share it right. I don't. Do you know if it's possible to share two? Oh, present. Here we go.
I was going to say, I know I just present the Underdog screen, so I'm not sure if you can share two at the same time.
Yeah, I don't see a way to do it. I assume you also do everything in StreamYard?
Yes, StreamYard. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, I have some experience with it, but I never tried sharing two screens at once. So I don't think it's possible to pull that up right now, but I do appreciate you, Hoosier Devo, for sending that to me. And I took a look at it. It's color coded and everything. Looks really nice. So maybe we'll take a look at that later.
Very nice.
All right. So
we have 3 picks left, right?
We have 3 picks left. We could be done. So probably all wide receivers would be.
Wait, do we?
Oh, no, sorry. One tight end too. We also need one more tight end.
I don't know if Carolina correlates, but can we get my Jatavion Sanders at all?
Ooh, that might be fun.
Let me see if they correlate at all with the teams that we have stacked.
It's the Bucks, right? Pretty sure.
Panthers or.
I think the Panthers. Don't the Panthers play the Bucks?
Oh, they play the Bucks in. Yes. Yes, they play Dallas, Arizona Bucks. You're right. Sorry. So no.
So do you take Jatavion Sanders often in 2 tight end builds? I mean, I guess
that is true. You might want to save for like if you feel like a Ty Conklin, I think would be safer. He's gotten his minimum targets each year.
Let's push the pick. Well, actually, let's see if there's any wide receivers that we like, and then decide if we want to push the pick. Do you like any Wendell Robinson, Zay Jones? There aren't any great wide
I like
receivers.
Jalen Tolbert. I don't know if you can push him further.
Yeah, we could probably push him too. But there, all of these tight ends. So I've been big on Noah Fant, Kate Otten, a real faller here. All right, let's take Tolbert, and then we can push it and think about whether we want to go.
I mean, I like Fant, all those. I like
Sanders.
I believe Chig was in there, like Chig. So yeah, I know with your second, did Conklin already go? Yeah, he
Conklin
just
went the
went.
one pick before us.
Okay, yeah, because he's kind of feels a little safer, just the amount of targets he's got in the last couple of years, and I feel like with Aaron Rodgers, they didn't really address that. So, but Otner, yeah,
Oh no, shoot, he goes Bryce Young. Yeah, I kind of figured that was coming. Hertzlocker goes Bryce Young, and then Jatavian Sanders.
He did
probably watching the stream.
He got the late stack we were talking about. I don't mind Cade Otton.
Yeah, Cade Otton, 25 picks past ADP. I have not drafted a ton of him.
Yeah.
Lock it in?
Yeah, I say go for it. Yep.
All right.
Because they really didn't address that position either. They play the Chargers week 15 too, and we have a Chargers stack. It's in quarterfinals, so.
Yeah. I was I was going to say this, if you are going to take Jatavian Sanders on a 2 tight end build, we could do it with this one. We could have done it with this one since we have Kincaid. Since we are pretty we went for that elite tight end. If you're going to do Jatavian Sanders in a 2 tight end build, I think here would have been a place where we could have done it. I don't know. Do you think that's too thin with just those two?
Yeah, and I was just looking at bye weeks too. So we couldn't have done Conklin because Bills and Jets have the same bye week. Okay. And Bucks have a different bye week. So yeah, we dodged the bye week issue. So that's good. But I'm sorry, what was the question? Would I be fine with Sanders with Kincaid?
Yeah, just as a 2 tight end room. Do you think that's enough?
I mean, I probably would have, like I said, preferred someone a little bit with a safer floor, with like a safer target share than the unknown of Sanders in that situation. But with Kincaid being kind of such like the alpha pick, I probably still would have done it or been willing to do it. Yeah. So. And still feel fine with Kincaid and Otton too.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I mean that's why we pushed tight end, right? Because we had several options that I think were all pretty good options at tight end. I was a little bit nervous there for a second that our love was going to take Otton and we were going to lose all of those guys at the end.
Right,
worked out okay. I'm trying to figure out if I can open up this sheet in Chrome somehow. So I can I
actually like the way things have unfolded. Again, for wanting to shore up just the receiver room, I think I think everything's kind of come together nicely. So
yeah, I think it has too. I think this is looking pretty good so far. I mean,
how sometimes you just get a feeling after draft where you're like, well, that didn't go the way I wanted, or then you're like, oh, okay, it kind of landed okay.
Yeah, it's the fun. So I in my Discord I opened a grade your draft channel, and I've kind of told people my default, if you have a good draft, is a B plus. If you drafted well, your the players, your buckets, your wide receiver, running back, all the different positions, you have enough capital in each of them, you played it right with the quantity versus quality of different positions, you're probably a B plus. The only way in my mind to get an A is things just fell to you in place, which this year could have Otton. If I liked Otton better, I'd probably feel that way. Otton falling 25 picks past ADP. When you need a tight end, though, you need those kind of things to happen, in my mind, to get an A draft. And that's just just doesn't happen every draft. Even if you know what you're doing, it doesn't always go your way with things falling in place.
Absolutely.
But I do feel I think Cade Otton falling there to us. Although I guess we reached a little bit on Tolbert, so it could have been, it's not a huge.
I love the Dallas offense. It's hard to say as a Washington fan, but I do. And I just think getting any piece of that offense late is nice. So I like that. It doesn't really correlate necessarily, but I just think as a one-off late receiver, I like that.
Yeah, just betting on the upside of a guy like
yes. I guess I have him ranked higher than what his ADP is, so I think it's okay. Yeah, I like it.
And he is, I guess he's the wide receiver 3. They
right.
Also have a pretty. Because
where did Gallup go, or is he not anywhere right now?
I feel like he went somewhere, or maybe it was just a rumor. I don't remember though.
Right. So he's the wide receiver 3 there.
Yeah.
And looked decent last year. It kind of surprised me because I certainly didn't have any access to him.
He had at least one big showdown slate, as I recall, in DFS. Are you also? So, yeah. You're a showdown player, right?
Yes, I haven't played much showdown the last year or two as I did in previous years, but yes, obviously have been playing DFS for 11 years or something like that. So yeah, I've definitely.
Oh, really? I didn't know you were an OG like myself.
Earlier, yeah. 2013 is when I started. So
same.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's been around a while.
Did you start on Draft Street and then go to
no? So maybe I didn't. I don't remember it. As I recall, I started on FanDuel, but I do have.
Okay.
I actually technically have DFS entries in 2011 in my Roto Tracker, which I imagine was like Draft Street or something
Yeah,
like
I
that.
think I dabbled with Draft Street and then yeah, DraftKings and FanDuel around the same time.
All right, so one final receiver here.
Okay.
Let me see if there are any Chargers. Okay, we could go DJ Chark. I'm just gonna star him,
Sure.
but
Yeah.
we don't have to do that. If you have any wide receivers that you really like here, I'm open
I
to
mean,
it.
at
Just
this
wanted to.
point, Elijah Moore, I don't think is bad. I don't just I think is like a third option in Cleveland. Some of
We'll
those
do that.
Giants receivers, if you like Hyatt, if you like Slayton, depending if you have a preference, I don't think they're
Oh no, wait.
I think they
Okay,
have.
I, I panicked there for a second because I let the timer run down, and I did a stream like a couple days ago where I did that, and then it picked a totally different player than who I had queued up, and
Oh,
I'm
okay.
like, I think I might have some weird
That's
like
happened to me
positional
once or
limits
twice
on.
before. Yeah.
Yeah, so I panicked there for a second, but we got Elijah Moore on the team, so the team looking pretty good here. Let's go back into it.
All right.
All right, so we ended up with at quarterback Brock Purdy, Tua Tagovailoa, Justin Herbert. At running
Wow.
back Kyron Williams, David Montgomery, Raheem Mostert, Ty Chandler, Tyrone Tracy. At wide receiver Tyreek Hill, Debo Samuel, George Pickens, Lad McConkey, Josh Palmer, Ricky Pearsall, Jalen Tolbert, and Elijah Moore. And at tight end Dalton Kincaid and Cade Otton. I like this team. I think that we
I
did
like
pretty
this a
well
lot.
here.
Yeah. I like
Positional
this.
all makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, those three quarterback stacks, because if you not only do I like the three quarterbacks to protect for injuries, which, have happened multiple years in a row, but it also protects for floor weeks. Not every week is going to be a ceiling game from your quarterback. And what I actually like the most is giving you three stack options in playoffs. I mean, playoffs are such a gauntlet. We talked about how hard it is to make the finals in any, BBM especially, but any tournament. And it's giving you three stack options in playoffs and if you do make the finals, three stack options provided they're healthy. So that's what I really love the most. And to get these three stacks, I mean, you're talking three top offenses: 49ers, Dolphins, Chargers. I still would consider Herbert a top stack. So
Yeah.
I really like this team a lot.
I really do too. And we're largely double stacked. I mean, we have Miami. I guess we just have Tyreek Hill and Raheem Mostert, but
I
we
like
have
that.
both Lad McConkey and Josh Palmer going with the Chargers. We also have Debo and Ricky Pearsall for the Niners. So I feel like we have outs within our stacks also. So yeah, actually,
Right.
I feel pretty good about this team, even though getting three quarterbacks by pick 142 is not usually either of our approach, but I actually think that it worked out pretty well on this team, just getting those three kind of mid-round together,
Yeah.
all looking pretty elite offenses all together.
I know you and Tom's talked about like experimenting with different things. One of the things I wanted to experiment with was doing exactly what we just did, is like waiting till like more like the 9th, 10th round, but like getting like three quarterback stacks that I really love in the 10th through 13th, and that's kind of what we did. And I like that. I actually, I'm not going to do that all the time, obviously, but
Right.
I do want to have some kind of exposure to these type of builds where, boy, do I feel really confident if my three quarterbacks stay healthy. I feel really confident in these three quarterback stacks for the season and the playoffs.
Yeah, I feel good about this team. I think it's definitely it's an like it's different than either of us normally build, but it's kind of fun to get some of those teams into your portfolio that are a little bit different than what you're used to.
And not that we are forcing any week 17 or 16 run backs, but there are some built within there. I know Lions. I think there was some other ones just kind of naturally kind of correlated, which is nice too.
Yeah, that is the part of the reason I don't over focus on like week 17 game stacks is you just so often end up with them anyway that it's like don't need to over force it necessarily. But yeah, it was not a huge focus of it in this one, mostly because it wasn't working out for us. I think we talked about a few different places potentially doing a bring back, but really I don't think it's necessary. Feel good about that team. I like to look at the other people who drafted with us, just the people who commented in chat. So I know Jim was in here, and nobody else noted that they were
My
in
neighbor
here with us. Oh yeah,
I guess my neighbor, yeah,
your Canton neighbor Jim. So Jim goes with Kirk Cousins and Matthew Stafford as his quarterbacks.
Nice.
Running back, he has James Cook, Joe Mixon, Devin Singletary, Tyler Algier, Antonio Gibson, CEH, and Eli Mitchell. At wide receiver, he has Marvin Harrison, Drake London, Malik Neighbors, Cooper Kupp, JSN, Lockett, Demarcus Robinson, and at tight end he has Jake Ferguson and Jawan Johnson. So the stacks are Atlanta and the Rams. So Atlanta, he has Algier, Drake London, just that, and then for the Rams he has Cooper Kupp and Demarcus Robinson. So a
I like
double
that a lot.
stack there. Yeah, looks good. And I guess he did do the week 17 thing. He has the Rams stack. He also has Marvin Harrison Jr. on
Yep.
the bring back there. And then Atlanta plays the Commanders, right?
Yeah,
I
they
think.
play Washington week 17.
Yeah, so no bring back there, but yeah,
But
looks
I
like
know he
has,
said Malik Neighbors, who they play the Giants week 16. So
okay, yeah. Yeah, so it looks like a really well correlated for the playoffs.
absolutely.
Has some secondary correlations here as the JSN and Lockett on the team. So looks like a really nice team that Jim put together.
Yeah, like it.
Bobby never commented. Bobby, if you want us to look at your team, you're gonna have to come and comment in chat. I don't think anybody else commented. So, are you prepared to jump into another one, Megan?
Absolutely.
All right, let's do it. If you guys want to join us, get in now.
So how many, what number are you at right now?
I put it, I forget. I just put it in the thumbnail. Like I look at what the last thumbnail said and then add,
And then add them.
I think it's like
add
31, 32 maybe.
Nice. Okay. Well, I knew you were streaming all 150. So, yeah, you got to keep them going.
Yeah. I mean, I'm ahead of schedule here. It's still,
Yeah,
still
no, you're
May,
definitely
and
ahead of schedule. No,
yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I've been, part of me is like, I don't really want to get them all done now because I think that I draft the best closer to the season. So it's like getting ahead doesn't necessarily make sense. But
your finals team in 2 years ago when we were both in the finals together, what do you remember what month it came from?
I don't actually remember what month.
I remember mine was mid-July.
Okay. I think mine might have been also last year. It was like all my best teams, my advancing teams were all like end of August, early September. So I know last year I benefited more from drafting late.
Yeah, mine last year were kind of, I've heard people in the best ball space talk about the barbell approach, and mine kind of were barbell where they were either really early, like May, June, or really late, like late August. So July, was not the strength where it was my strength 2 years ago. So
interesting. Yeah. So who knows where the actual, I think we just don't have enough data, right?
Well, I think there's, strengths and weaknesses to drafting every month, and you just got to take advantage of the strengths and know that there are going to be some holes for that. Like right now we're taking on more risk, but but we're also getting more value.
Surplus of cash. That's a good username. I don't think I know, but Donka balls. That's interesting. Jim, this is Jim W, who is not Jim Waller here. Starkindler, I think I know. I'm trying to remember who that is though. Pretty sure I know that person, but I don't think anybody who is in chat has been is in this draft with us. If anybody is in this draft with us in chat, let us know that we're drafting with you. Hoosier Devo just missed it. And Jim said that he apparently auto drafted Stafford, but it worked out for you.
Oh, it worked out. That was a great week 17 stack. And then with Cup, and I liked it.
He added Demarcus Robinson, worked out pretty well. All right.
There is Star Kindler's in with us.
Star Kindler's here with us. Jim W here with us. So we do have a few people drafting with us here. Good to see you guys. All right. Are you a Amon-Ra St. Brown fan? Do you like Bijan, Breece Hall? Who do you like in this 6th spot?
Any of those three. I love the Falcons schedule. But I mean, I love Detroit too. So
you have mentioned the Falcons schedule a few times. So I think we got to go Falcons.
Okay. Right? Okay. Yeah. And I'm not worried about whatever little ankle thing right now. It's OTAs. So
I feel like a foot right now is more concerning than an ankle. Now I don't really know. I'm no medical expert. But I feel like a foot is something that lingers typically more than an ankle.
Right. Once I saw the playoff schedule, Atlanta was one of the ones I was drawn to the most. And actually 49ers, my three favorites after the schedule release was the Falcons, 49ers, and Texans, just because of where they play and who they play in the best ball playoff schedule. So I was definitely drawn to the Falcons.
Yeah. Yeah. So the first thing that I noticed with the schedule was the little correlation of basically NFC North, except replace Detroit with Seattle. Just like they all play each other like multiple
I did
times.
see that you could kind of get like a combo that,
Yeah.
yeah. Hmm.
So that's kind of fun. Wait, Hoosier says, does anyone have advice suggestion for my rice question above? What was your rice question? Oh, I'm in a slow draft at 0250 right now. Rashi Rice available 15 picks after ADP. Do I take him? Oh no, it says that it's 0350. I don't think you have to because I think Rashi Rice is still falling. So I wouldn't feel obligated to take him if you don't think he fits your team. Do you have a different opinion there, Megan?
No, same. I mean, I'm still kind of waiting on that and not jumping on that. Like you said, it's not like it's the same situation as last year where he's like really the only receiver. There's two other really good receivers in that room now. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't push that, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessary. All right, so at the top of the board, in terms of ADP, it's Saquon Barkley, Kyron Williams, and then we have Debo, Nico Collins, Mike Evans. Anybody you like here?
Did you want to go Nico in this one since we went Debo last time?
Oh yeah, I do like Nico.
I mean, listen, I love the 49. I just said how I love Falcons and 49ers and
Yeah,
Texans. Were one of the other ones that I really like their playoff schedule. So yeah, I love getting, the Bears and Texans have such a talented receiver room with like three stud receivers. And I'm having like a problem of, well, who do I choose? What I've leaned into the most so far, and I need to diversify, is getting that alpha, going for that DJ Moore, going for that Nico Collins. We actually in my draft earlier took Steph Diggs, and I need to be doing more the second and third receivers on those teams because I have been leaning more into the what kind of, in my opinion, the wide receiver ones.
yeah. So that was a funny. I know you listened to the stream yesterday
With Tom, yeah,
where he was saying that he has Keenan Allen ahead of DJ Moore, which I'm with you. I've been drafting a lot of DJ Moore. Like I'm just going to take the alphas from these teams, and it's a good reminder. Like we don't actually know who
we
the
don't
alphas are.
actually
Like,
know.
we think we do. We're trying to get the alpha, but I think Nico Collins is probably the most talented of the Houston guys. Do you think?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
At
Agreed.
this stage.
Especially Ian, a lot younger than, younger than Diggs.
Yeah.
And yeah, obviously I already had the connection with Stroud last year. I mean, they just looked insane at the end of the season. So
yeah, I still think Diggs might be good and just, had a little bit of a regression, was unhappy with the situation.
Right.
He seems like a guy who's, like his motivation is what, like he needs to be motivated, and maybe he lost his motivation. Like he's not the uber athletic guy. He's the crisp route runner, super competitive guy that maybe just lost that a little bit last year.
Right. Yeah, no, totally agree. And that's why, to Tom's point and to your point, I need to, again, it's still early, but diversify that exposure among those receiver rooms.
So speaking of, we're up in 3 picks. If Diggs came back to us, how do you feel about multi-stacking?
I get a little bit nervous multi-stacking so early, but I'm trying to be open to. I heard you talk about that on a show where you've done it some, but you don't want to overdo it, basically, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
exactly
I'll leave it up to you, because who are the other receivers there?
So we also have, in ADP, we have Malik Neighbors, Devonta Smith, DK Metcalf, or Cooper Kupp.
I mean, I kind of lean more Devonta Smith or Cooper Kupp, just wanting access to those as opposed to going a little too heavy or going heavy on Texans, but it's up to you.
I do really like Devonta Smith and Cooper Kupp. Let's go Devonta Smith here. And then there's a chance that Jalen Hurts, he's probably not coming back to us. He's not coming.
Okay. I was just going to say, what's our next pick number? Okay. Yeah, we're kind of more in the middle because we were at the 5th pick or 6th pick.
We are at the 6th pick.
Okay.
I think I've seen him fall this far. It's just kind of rare. I think that
more rare. Yeah, there's a chance.
Star Kindler, of course, listening, and he has AJ Brown.
Okay.
So apologies for taking Devonta Smith from you. But maybe it's one of those like you said, you don't want to spend too much capital on receivers from the same team too early. So maybe we would save him from himself.
Right. Yeah. In the past years, I haven't done it too much. And the times I have done it, it hasn't worked out that great for me when I, invest too much capital on the same team too early.
Yeah, me too. And it is something that I think I've tried a little bit every year, and I'm trying it again a little bit this year, but definitely as we get more experience, we kind of know you don't want to force it every time. I think we're getting smarter about how often we do it.
Yeah, like you said, maybe get some exposure to it, but not all the time that you get the opportunity presented.
Yeah.
My favorite type of stack in correlating a team is quarterback, running back, receiver, tight end, because usually, not always, you can get that throughout a draft, and maybe it's just the BBM3 finals team that I loved. It was Dak, it was Elliott, it was Schultz, and then it was actually Gallup late. So it was a correlated Dallas stack at the 4 different positions, but the total price of it wasn't that high. And so that's why I like when you can kind of spread out the total price of stacking a team a lot, but still get, a nice team stack.
Yeah, that makes sense. Just don't overspend to get your stack, but you can still correlate throughout. It's probably something that I need to get better at, spreading out those stacks instead of just trying to take all the best players from the team.
And I also like when you can get like a running back, quarterback, or running back within your quarterback stack, because I think there's some nice the ping pong is another word, a hot word that basketball people use, but I think you can, like, it can help you throughout the season if it's just a good offense that you're just soaking up all those touchdowns, because we're obviously touchdown hunting here on Underdog. And also it can kind of ping pong you in the playoffs. If like the running back has a good week, it can maybe push your quarterback through, stuff like that.
Yeah, good point. All right,
so I assume Hurts did not make it back, right?
Hurts did not make it back. We could go Lamar and hope that we get Mark.
I was gonna say, you have Houston. You have to be careful with too many of them, but you could do, Baltimore, Houston's week 17. So you could go. Yeah. Is Lamar Andrews there?
Yeah, he is still there. Do we want to risk? He might. He's right at ADP.
I'll leave it up to you. I know it's down to the wire, so
let's risk it.
Okay.
And you can always get a late Rashad Bateman, who I kind of like as a late round pick anyway, or Isaiah Likely.
So
absolutely. 54 would be. It's a little bit past his ADP. Is probably not making it back since we already have Kelsey McBride off the board. Usually, I'm more hopeful that we'll get it back if there are several tight ends still on the board, elite tight ends. But Kincaid is still out there. Some people,
and honestly, it's with the Ravens, Texans, to speak to the point that ties into bye weeks. Unfortunately, they're both week 14 bye, so it's a great week 17 game stack, but you may not see week 17 if you were to stack up too many of those players.
Yeah.
The last week of regular season and all your, 2 elite stacks, if you had like 3 or 4 from each, I think you'd be hurting. So I think you kind of want to more skinny stack those when you're stacking them together for the week 17 correlation.
Do you think it would have been smarter? Now I'm second guessing myself. Maybe we could have gone Mark Andrews here and then just hope that one of Lamar or CJ Stroud makes it back to us. Since, as you said, like they have the same buy, you probably don't want both, but just like see who comes back between Lamar and CJ
In
Stroud.
Hindsight, that now makes sense. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh well. But I like the Lamar pick. So in hindsight, I think that makes sense.
Yeah, because like now we don't want Stroud since we already have Lamar.
Right. That's too much capital.
Yeah. That's the you gotta practice makes perfect, right? We're still figuring out exactly the right approach here. Even though I did 150 pre-draft best ball teams. Did you do any of the pre-draft stuff?
I did some pre-draft, but no, I just dabbled. I did a few of the rookie sophomore. I find that to be a fun format. I wish they'd do more of it. Honestly, I love it. So Andrews did come back.
Let's go.
Wow, all right. I love it.
This is a great start.
Yeah. Oh, I like that start a lot.
Sorry, I interrupted you. I did some big board and some rookie sophomores. I really like the rookie sophomores. Me too.
Wish they did more of those, but so I did a little bit, but I didn't max or anything.
Yeah. I think I got 40 of those in, and I was loving them. I was kind of addicted to drafting the rookies and sophomores.
They go so quick too.
Yeah, exactly.
They're fun. Those that go quicker are a lot of fun too.
Yeah. Hopefully they do a bigger one next year. I don't think they don't usually do a post-draft rookies.
I kind of wish they could do a post-draft. I mean, I know then you're all working with the same information. We were all working with no information. Then now we'd all be working with information. So some guys would get pushed up or down. And I think that would kind of make just a fun dynamic. So I wish they would, but I don't think they did after the draft last year.
Yeah. I think they just don't need to, because they have they can fill any other best ball contest, but
exactly.
But it is fun.
Exactly. No, I like this start a lot.
Oh man. Apparently Xavier Worthy hammy tweak report. Just saw it on an Underdog roster. And then David asks, is it possible for a 4-2-1 guy to never tweak a hammy? That is always, I always feel like the super fast guys. Of course, for years I've thought that Tyreek Hill is going to Like he has the fast twitch muscles. He's going to pull a hammy at some point. He's been relatively healthy in recent
Hmm.
years.
He always kind of scares me. Like they'll go out for like a couple
Yeah.
plays, and you'll see him on the sidelines, like rubbing his leg or something. You're like, oh please no, oh please no.
And last year was more Waddle. Like I feel like Waddle missed time every
Yeah,
single game too. It's just
yeah,
those fast guys. It's tough.
yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, unstacked Stroud is it's an interesting pick. That's I didn't notice that was unstacked.
Yeah, and there's not really much backstacking you can do for him. They're such high price, all of them.
Yeah, you could
Even
do
Mixon,
Schultz, but like
Schultz. That's
yeah,
right. I'm sorry. You could do Schultz later. He's 120s, I believe.
yeah. So he's available, but also like how much do you really want Schultz at where he's going? I was so I one of my bigger regrets from pre-draft stuff is I was super in on Dalton Schultz, and
Hmm.
now it's like major regrets since they then added Stephon Diggs.
Right, right.
So now I'm pretty out on him at around 120. All right, so we're coming up in I guess 4 picks. Currently, we're sitting at Lamar Jackson, Bijan Robinson, Nico Collins, Devonta Smith, and Mark Andrews on the team. So we probably want to add some wide receiver power
Sure.
here. Only
Yep.
only having 2 through 5 rounds is a little bit light.
What were the two receivers we had? I just wanted to look at bye weeks.
Nico Collins and Devonta Smith, so 14 and 5.
14 and 5. Okay, thank you.
So now next on the board would be Romo Dunze, or Lad McConkey, Keon Coleman, Chris Godwin.
So that chunk of rookies, I like them all. I mean, I know we took Lad in the last one. I really do like them all. So I'll defer to you on this one. I don't think there's
Yeah,
a
let's
bye.
go Rome. He is the top of
Yeah,
my rankings and ADP, so why not?
I like it. I like it. I haven't gotten much room yet, and I need to. Like I said, I need to kind of diversify my Texans and Bears receivers exposure. So I
Yeah,
like that.
same. Yep. So we're going a different route on this one,
I like
um,
that.
and then so there's somebody on Twitter and somebody that I don't remember who it is, but somebody that I think makes an interesting point that so we've been drafting. I've been drafting a lot of Lad over Brian Thomas Jr. and this person is adamant that Brian Thomas Jr. is the much better pick than Lad, and kind of has me question it a little bit. Like I'm like I can see the point you're making. Like he was the we thought the better receiver coming in. He lands
Right.
in honestly I think a pretty comparable situation. I think it's a slightly worse situation for Lad than Brian Thomas or for Brian Thomas Jr. than for Lad because Lad has like a clear path to being the
The
number
wide
one
receiver
receiver on
one.
the
Right.
Chargers. But I think he makes it interesting. Like I think that they are kind of a coin toss to me. Like I don't think that it's that clear that Lad should be going ahead of Brian Thomas Jr. Do you disagree with
Absolutely.
that? I don't know.
No, I would agree with that. I think if you told me at the end of the season it was McConkey or if it was Brian Thomas Jr. who ended up having being the higher fantasy wide receiver, I wouldn't be surprised either way.
Yeah.
Like you said, the path is clear for McConkey to be the wide receiver one, but Brian Thomas Jr. Plays on a team probably likely with a little bit more pass volume. So
Yeah, it's so that's why I at this point I'm more inclined to just like push that unless I'm already building out, something with one of them or I
right.
don't know. So we push that. We still have we have Keon Coleman here who I would put in that
Oh, he
same bucket.
fell the back. Okay. I like, yeah,
Well,
I mean,
one more pick. So yeah, he fell to us. Do we want to just go Keon Coleman?
I like the Keon Coleman pick. He's another one I need to get more of. Speaking of, I mean, this rookie class was just absolutely elite, and deep. And
Yeah.
that's why there were so many good ones that went, especially first and second round. But then there's, like guys that went later that we're very interested in, like the Roman Wilsons and Luke McCaffreys of the world. So, I really do like these rookie receivers a ton, and I like getting these two back to back, and especially in the case of both these guys, I think could be good red zone targets, and we're touchdown hunting. I think Keon Coleman, Dalton Kincaid. I mean, those are two big guys that I think are going to be the two main red zone targets for Allen.
Yeah, absolutely, and should be a good offense, put up a lot of points. So, yeah, I think we, even though we waited a little bit on getting our third receiver a little bit later than we're usually very comfortable with, I think that it worked out okay. Getting these two like high upside rookies with
Yes.
those picks feels pretty good.
No, I like that a lot. I've been thinking, since Underdog's such a touchdown hunting site, and actually, when I look at my results, I actually do better on FanDuel. because it's, this is
In
basically
DFS or in best
in
ball?
DFS,
Okay. Yeah.
and then Underdog. I did my DraftKings best ball results were nowhere near what my Underdog results have
Me
been.
neither.
Like advance rate, top to bottom. So my Underdog results are stronger in best ball. My DFS results are stronger in FanDuel, I think. And what's funny is when it comes to the betting market, my favorite type of bet is anytime touchdown. So, I think you are just touchdown hunting. So what I've been starting to think about is like, well, what would these guys, and obviously injuries will change the numbers and that kind of stuff, but like early in the season, what would these guys be to score a touchdown? Like a Keon Coleman, he might be like just like a plus 160 or plus 170 just because he's such a big red zone target. So I've been kind of thinking that kind of stuff.
So you are a sports bettor as well, I take it.
Yes, yeah. It's been live in Maryland for about 2 years this fall, I think.
Okay.
And then I have family in Virginia. So and I think it's been there for about 3 years. So definitely enjoy that as well.
Can't do it here in Minnesota. So when people start talking about like the negative 160, I'm like, man, it's not easy math for me yet at this point. Once it comes to Minnesota, I'm sure I'll pick up on it pretty quickly, but I'm
absolutely
really taking the time to really learn.
Okay, so we have a 1-1. Oh,
Najee goes 1 before us. Yeah. So we have 1-1-4-1.
I love that Felix just said friendly reminder Najee time, and we just missed it. Darn it!
I was gonna do it. Do you have anybody that you like here? I feel like we don't need another quarterback yet. We could go one of these.
We don't need it. I mean, Caleb would correlate, but I don't think you need to go this early. But is there another running back or receiver? I think
Tony Pollard.
I like Tony. I like Pollard.
Seems fine.
Is he a good ADP value?
He's. I think he's right in. Yeah, we got him. I guess a couple of picks ahead of ADP. We could. I'll queue up Caleb, and we can think about whether we want to. It would obviously be a 2 quarterback build here if we take Caleb.
Right, because that's earlier. Yeah. Because Bears they're week 7, and then Ravens are week 14. Okay. Yeah.
So would work out from that perspective. Caleb really doesn't fall as much as I expect him to, because he kind of rose up.
Because I think because of the 3 receivers to stack him with too.
You're right. Yeah. You're probably right about that.
And who I'm trying to remember who are our other receivers options right now that.
So all the quarterbacks are gone. So Nico,
they're gone. Yeah. Right.
Devonta Smith. Yeah. But I mean, we can. Okay, Caleb goes. Probably saving us from ourselves a little bit.
Right.
Lamar anyway. But plenty. I mean, we could take Cortland Sutton here. Throw on the potential for a late Bo Nix. Add Curtis Samuel to the Buffalo secondary stack. We could take J-Mo and then try and get Goff at the next turn. I don't do a ton of that.
Yeah, I haven't taken much Goff yet, who I was very high on last year. I mean, I still love the Lions in general. So, I mean, I like all the ones you mentioned. Did Jameson just go? Yeah.
Jameson goes.
So yeah, I like Curtis Samuel. I like Mike Williams. I like one of the other ones you mentioned. I think
Tyler Lockett.
I like Tyler. I really.
So Cortland Sutton is.
Oh, Sutton. I like Sutton too. Yeah.
I feel like he's my lean here, just because
I like that.
Curtis Samuel, only because we already took Keon Coleman. We kind of made the bet that he's going to be, since we don't have the quarterback, I feel like we're making the bet. And also I just want to have options for
it gives you optionality later. I like that. No, I like Cortland Sutton. I mean, I think obviously another situation, I think you're getting the wide receiver 1. And he was such a touchdown. Speaking of anytime touchdown market, I mean, by the end of the season, he was like plus 120, to score a touchdown, because he was just absolutely almost. He was a great best ball pick for me last year, around the same range,
Me too. So he was right here. So, are you a college football fan?
Not really. I didn't go to a big school. I went to Indiana University of Pennsylvania, so it's a Division II school. So. Just kind of root for friends and families teams. That's it. I loved my college, have great college friends, but almost wish I went to a Division I school, because now like all my friends, just enjoy that part of their, life as life goes on, that's just a big part to reunite with friends for, college football games or basketball games or whatever. So don't. So I mean, I watch casually, with friends and family, but no, I'm not a big college football girl.
I was also Division III. Went to Tufts University in Massachusetts. So never became a huge college football fan. My older brother went to Notre Dame, so I
so do you
sort of theoretically cheer for Notre Dame, but also just don't really care.
Right.
But I guess despite not being a huge college football fan, do you have any opinions on the rookie running backs? Are there like rookie running backs who you target in drafts?
No, because this year was a weaker class to begin with, and then of the class, you had certain leans like, well, I hope someone lands with the Cowboys, or I hope a top tier running back, if Blake Corum would have landed with the Chargers, my goodness, that would have
Yeah.
been amazing. So I kind of knew those things like, oh, there's certain teams that would be great landing spots, and there's certain guys like Brooks and Corum that I'd love to grab shares of, but nobody really got an elite landing spot, and they're unlike the receivers, they're not an elite class. So I haven't been taking many rookie running backs, to be quite honest. Every now and then, if something falls, I would like to get some more exposure to Jonathan Brooks, especially later in the season. I feel like, if you have the correct build where he can kind of emerge for you later, then I like that. But just because of the landing spots, haven't gotten to a lot. How about you?
I'm pretty in on Trey Benson just because I listened to some things that made it sound like he might be like pretty talented, more talented than we're giving him credit for. And I like the landing spot just as even though James Conner is probably still just the alpha there, I feel like there's a little bit more contingent upside with an old guy like James Conner there. Who, I mean, he's been healthier.
Right.
I've considered him an injury risk ever since he had the concussions, and I think it's probably an unfair bias to consider him a big injury risk because he's been relatively healthy. But he's getting
He was
old. He has a
massive
lot
in
of
the
mileage on him.
playoffs last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think Trey Benson, just because of the old guy in front of him, and I think he could
Right.
just earn a role right away.
Right.
So I've been in on Trey Benson, and then it's largely the later running backs for me. All right, so we are up. We could go Josh Palmer again, since we only have 5 receivers. We could
I was just going to ask how many receivers we had. Yeah.
or we could add if you like Javonte, Devin Singletary, Chase Brown, any of those guys would work too. Or Dallas
I,
Goedert.
I like Devin Singletary just because of volume. I don't love it. And
I
then
like Singletary.
Chase Brown, I don't mind just because I think it's him and Moss in the, competing for that role and a good offense. So either one of those, I don't mind. I think it's solid. I just skimmed through that Hayden Winks article, but I want to go through it more, talking about like what's worked out all 4 years in BBM.
I haven't read that yet. Yeah, I want to get in on that.
I need to go through it more in depth, but I took a quick glance, and it was talking about, trying to get 4 receivers by round 7, and then trying to even get 3 or 4 running backs by round 10, and so I think if you can get a quarterback, 3 running backs, 4 receivers, at the minimum, probably 5 receivers, like 1 quarterback, and then, I think my favorite build would probably be 1-3-5-1 in the first 10 rounds. I think that's, kind of a sturdy, nice build to.
Oh, we got it. We nailed it.
Did we? I love it.
1-3-5-1. Yeah.
There we go. And I mean, when I do late round tight end, I don't mind also a 1-4-5-0 or a 1, something along those lines. So it's kind of good to think in those terms, because again, those first 10 picks are so key.
Yeah. The more you like spread it out early on, if you don't just like take 6 receivers to start, the more optionality you have as at 4.
Yeah.
Just like, if there are falling values, you can take advantage of those more if you build out kind of the way that we have the 1-3-5-1.
Right.
Now it's like, just take best available or
right
or whatever.
Right. Yes, absolutely. It allows you to make those kind of falling ADP, but like best available decisions or the correlating decisions. So I like that.
Yeah. So I think we have started out well here. Just Sherman, I regret to inform you the reviews are in. People are unhappy with you. Star Kindler laughing at you for the unstacked Jordan Love and CJ Stroud. Jimmy is tilted that you're unstacked Love and Stroud. What are you doing, man? Just rude.
Has Schultz already gone? Can he get the Schultz?
Oh, good point. Maybe you can add.
Maybe he's working a little backstack for both.
Could take Dontavian Wicks.
Yeah, he could go Wicks. He could go. I don't know if Luke Musgrave is gone.
He goes Blake Corum. So I don't think he's thinking about stacking. All right, so we did not take Josh Palmer, so Justin Herbert probably doesn't make sense for us. We could go Jacoby Myers, Jerry Jeudy. We don't have anybody from Detroit, so I don't think Goff makes sense.
Okay, yeah, that's right. Jameson went.
Who do you like here? Anybody standing out?
Who are the top receivers?
Jacoby Myers, Jerry Jeudy, Brandon Cooks.
And I don't mind Cooks. I know Dak's already gone, but I love that offense.
Could do. I have not drafted a ton of Cooks, but I do still think I feel like I've been meaning to move him up my ranks so that I see him more, because often he goes off the board. Like even when I have DAC stacks, I just miss him because the rankings
Right.
that I use have him so far down the board, and I'm like, he was pretty good last year. So
Oh yeah,
I feel
yeah,
like I need to move him up in my ranks a little bit, because I think he's
yeah.
still a
Same.
talented receiver in a great offense, and I've just been missing out on him a lot.
There was one. So Ravens are week 14. Has Kirk gone yet?
Uh,
Cousins?
let's see. He is not.
He would be one to queue because this we got Bijan with our first, right?
We do have Bijan. Yep.
Okay, and then you could also backstack with, I assume Mooney. I'm trying to remember where he goes. I don't mind
Yeah,
Mooney
he,
as like
he
a
goes
late.
later.
That might, if we talked about the Falcon stack, if you wanted to get access to it, I think that's a really good second stack with Lamar.
Yeah,
Is Cousins.
that would make sense. Yeah, we do have that option. We could also, no, we don't have any great Tennessee receivers. I don't know that there's anybody late that I really love there. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, the only Tennessee receiving option, I guess, that's late would be Chig as a tight end.
Yeah. How did you hear the quote from I think it was DeAndre Hopkins about
Yeah,
Traylon Burks?
yeah. I heard.
I
And
don't
then
know
he
how to
kind of,
interpret that. That was another one of those like kind of double negatives where I'm like, I don't know what he actually meant to say here.
yeah, I did not know what he meant to say, and then I saw he tweeted something last night, like basically being like, no news, move on, basically,
Okay.
and kind of like you guys are trying to make a story out of nothing,
Yeah.
type deal. So, but yeah, it was a weird answer for
Yeah.
sure.
9. Just yeah.
Yeah,
How can I say this in a not negative way? But apparently you said positive things about Burks in the past, so I don't know what to make of it.
right, right.
Thoughts on winning on stack? I'm not sure what like the possibility of winning without a stack. Is that what you're asking about, Leo? I mean, it's certainly possible. It's just you're putting yourself behind a little bit by not stacking. You're giving yourself worse odds. You just need to hit a longer parlay if you don't stack.
And I think you can be open to different types of stack, still stack, but be open to different, like, say we only got, I'm just giving an example, say we only got Cousins and Bijan. The winner of BBM for last year had most Tua and Mostert, no Dolphins receiver, because as you know, Dolphins receivers cost so much, there was really no tight ends to target. So he just had Tua and Mostert. That was fine. That carried him the whole like beginning, middle of the season, and then Stroud and Love took over for him. So okay, do we get Cousins then?
We got Cousins.
All right. So
got the
yeah,
stack
and
there.
so in this situation, like if Mooney gets sniped, to me, no big deal. Like that's the way I kind of look at like the situation. It's still to me a stacked team. It's still correlated. And again, that running back quarterback thing, I don't mind, especially a guy like Bijan. He's going to catch passes and stuff like that too. So.
Yeah. So I agree with you, particularly with Bijan. I don't love like just having Lamar with Derrick Henry for like a stack where the running back does not really catch passes at all. I don't love that kind of stack just because like I think it's correlated well for the regular season, but then the playoffs I feel like they kind of eat into each other. I don't know. So I do prefer like if I'm stacking with my running back to have a receiving running back. Is that just something you're okay with in general? Just like even with a non-receiving running back, are you okay?
Yeah,
with
I'm
just,
okay with it in general, but price matters. So in the case of
good
the
point.
Ravens situation, I don't love that as much because you're paying what, third and fifth round draft capital or something along those lines. That's expensive. I don't mind it. Like last year, I did it all the time with like Goff and David Montgomery, who doesn't, catch passes really. And then I'd get like I said, my favorite stack last year was that quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end. So I would do like Goff, Montgomery, Amon-Ra, Laporta.
Oh yeah, that's
and then
great.
it's spread out throughout the draft. And it didn't matter that David Montgomery didn't. And in fact, it did kind of paint like Goff had an amazing week one. Unfortunately, quarterfinals, Goff went off. And then semifinals, there just wasn't enough juice from any of the Lions to push me through to finals. But
all right, so we got sniped on Darnell Mooney.
okay.
So we still need a tight end. We need probably a couple more running backs.
As I say, what running backs do you like in this area?
So here's where I kind of like all of these guys: Kendra Miller, Marshawn Lloyd, Jalen Wright. All make sense. We took Ty Chandler last time, so I'd say let's go with one of the rookies. Do you have?
Sure. I don't have a strong lean. I've heard lots of
Oh,
good things
I
about.
said let's take one of the rookies, and then I took Kendry Miller
Go
instead.
for it. Yeah,
Um,
no, I
I
think
was
that's a good
thinking of
fourth
him as a
running
rookie,
back.
but
Yeah.
I do like Kendry Miller. He's a guy that I have not really been in on much so far this year, but I know Jewish McCaffrey put out his favorite clicks in every round. He included Kendry Miller. Then I read something else or heard something else. I can't remember what it was, but steaming up a little bit. I was like, he could just be the starting running back there. Like Alvin Kamara, good chance is not on the team next year. In which case, it could be Kendry Miller. So
Right.
I'm starting to buy into Kendry Miller. I want to add him to my portfolio. I'm moving up my ranks a little bit. So
Yeah, and
I like
especially, I
that
mean,
pick.
especially when he's your running back 4, I like that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So no, I like where it's going here.
Yeah.
Because so we have a 2, 4, 6, 1. Is that what we have right
Yep.
now?
2-4-6-1.
Okay.
And I think our quarterbacks are very good. Lamar Jackson, Kirk Cousins. I feel like that's a good pairing. Running back, Bijan Robinson, Tony Pollard, Devin Singletary, Kendry Miller. I like our running back room.
Yeah.
Wide receiver, we go Nico Collins, Devonta Smith, Rome Odunze, Keon Coleman, Cortland Sutton, Brandon Cooks. I feel like there's a wide range of outcomes for these wide receivers. Like Devonta Smith, I think a lot of these wide receivers have basically all of our, like, I don't feel super confident in any of them being great, but I also think they mostly all have the potential to be great. Like Nico Collins is probably the wide receiver 1 there. We don't know that he is, but I think that he probably is. Romo
Right.
Dunze, probably the wide receiver 2 or 3, but could be the wide receiver 1. Like I kind of think we have a pretty wide range of outcomes in our wide receivers.
Right. Not as many like safer, super safe floor guys,
Yeah.
but tons of spike week potential for sure.
Yep. And I think, yeah, all have potential. So we just have to like hope that they, spike in the right weeks, like offset the weeks that they spike.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
And did we do okay with buys, or there's much buy overlap there?
Oh, we're doing great with buys. We only have 2 in week 14, 2 in week 7.
That's great. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, we're looking good there.
So yeah, what pick will we be up at next?
163. So we still need a tight end. Probably need one more running back, and then maybe the rest all wide receivers.
Okay. Yeah, because
Potentially.
yeah.
And I guess I'm going to start queuing up our stacks. So we have
Sure.
Falcons. I guess just Rondell Moore late for the Falcons, most likely. We have the Ravens, and I do like some late Ravens and
Bateman, yeah.
Bateman and Likely. We're still waiting
Yep.
on our tight end too, so that makes sense. Then we could build out. I don't know that we want to add anybody.
Well, we wouldn't want to do like we have Andrews, right?
We do have Andrews.
So we probably wouldn't want Likely just because.
Oh, good point.
Then we'd take a 0.
Yep. Forgot that we have Andrews. That would be more like in a 3 tight end.
Right. I think that's I did that one time last year, and it did make the playoffs, where it was almost like handicapping your handcuffing your tight end,
Yeah.
And I did a Andrews Likely something, and then Likely ended up counting towards the end of the year.
All right. So I think one of these tight ends, maybe. What do you think? Or do you want?
I definitely
like
can't Hunter Henry. I like Hunter Henry. I don't know that he correlates a lot, but I just feel like he's a solid tight end.
No, he's week 14 bye.
He's the same buy. Okay.
Yeah, I was about to click it, and then do you want to go Juwan Johnson then?
I'm fine with Juwan Johnson, or I'm fine with Bateman if you have a strong lean with. I don't know if that's a.
Let's go with Bateman just because I don't feel that strongly about.
Yeah, same.
Whereas I think
I really I like Bateman. Again, I've gone. I was very high on him last year. I know it didn't work. But,
Me too. Yeah.
But I'm willing to try again. I mean, in the stack, it makes sense. I think most of my Bateman shares this year will probably be in Lamar's or Stroud stacks. Again, I'm going to try to be careful about not overstacking that game. I do like someone mentioned Devontae Walker. I don't mind that as a late Baltimore stack, but I like that you could get Bateman or Devontae Walker late.
Yeah, that is a nice thing. I think I'm with you or at least for me, it's a pretty clear, like my preference is Bateman, but also I don't hate that I'm occasionally forced, like Devontae Walker, the last correlative piece. I'm perfectly fine just throwing that on there.
Right. Absolutely.
All right, let's see. Matt says, are there some teams you were afraid of fading entirely? Seems like one of the Jacksonville guys or Raiders could pop up in the playoffs. No, because I'm drafting those teams. I'm trying to think if there are any teams that I'm like completely out on that I am scared of.
Yeah, I think when you do the quantity of drafts, you're not really totally fading teams as much. There might be players that you're totally out on, or mostly out on. I know I've been in the past. But yeah, I don't think teams. I feel like you're always getting some kind of pieces along the way when you're doing the quantity of drafts.
Yeah, agreed. Jaleel McLaughlin goes again. I was thinking another person that I could have considered with this pick, but
as you say, because we need a fifth running back too, right?
Yeah, I think we probably want a fifth running back here, right?
I would say, yeah, I think so.
I'm generally inclined to do 5 this year. But Juwan Johnson comes all the way back to us. I feel like that's a prudent pick here. Would you?
I'm fine with that.
Okay. I a lot of really sharp people are really in on Juwan Johnson this year, so I'm just trying to okay, if all these people, if Karain and Sacrilegious and all these guys are really in on Juwan Johnson, I'm like, okay, maybe I need to be, when he falls to me at ADP and I don't have another tight end, I got to be taking him there. It's kind of my thought process.
And he had the big finals week last year, right?
Yeah, I think, I believe so.
And I think someone mentioned Raiders Saints in a dome week 17 too. That never.
Yep. That's a good point.
Never hurts. I like those dome games.
Yep.
So how many picks we have left? 3 or 4?
We have 3 more picks. Our team as it is 2-4-7-2. We have at quarterback Lamar Jackson, Kirk Cousins. At running back Bijan Robinson, Tony Pollard, Devin Singletary, Kendra Miller. At wide receiver we have Nico Collins, Devonta Smith, Romo Dunze, Keon Coleman, Cortland Sutton, Brandon Cooks, Rashad Bateman. And at tight end we have Mark Andrews and Juwan Johnson.
I like it.
Yeah, this is shaping up pretty good, I think. We want to add one more running back for sure. I think we could be done at both tight end and quarterback, probably are, with 3 picks left.
One running back, I don't know if he's still on the board, that would correlate, but again, it's kind of going against making it a little heavy on the bye week, which I said I'm trying to be careful on. Is Keaton Mitchell still there? He's like that thunder lightning back to Derrick Henry that could pop later in the season. And again, could correlate or push a Lamar team through type situation. Don't mind that, because I don't think you're counting on him in the early part of the season coming off the injury, but he was so explosive that if he's even a high percentage of that explosiveness, in the playoffs, that could pay off.
Yeah, for sure. He's I think he is pretty polarized. I had Blake Sanders on a stream, and he was really all in on Keaton Mitchell every single time. He's like, let's take Keaton Mitchell. I've heard other people be like, they're concerned about the injuries. So I've kind of I neutral. Just I take him, probably 4% of the time, which, in the late rounds, just kind of mixing in a bunch of different guys. I'm not taking any huge stand there on Keaton Mitchell, but I think you're right. He makes sense for this team where we're already making the bet on Baltimore.
Yeah. And that game. And it's not like we only did the one Texans piece, right? So it's not like as long as I think we don't go too heavier on the week 14 outside of that, then I think it's fine. So.
Yeah. And currently we have no week 14 running backs either. We have
that's
a couple
good.
of week 12 running backs.
Good. Okay. Well, that's good. Yeah. Because within the position group, I know that got me in trouble last year a couple of times, where towards the end of the season, because like you said, there's a lot of good teams on week 13 bye. And then, so if I had too many within a position group, I was like, "Ooh, this was just a weak week."
Yeah. I'm mostly concerned with the within position groups when I'm looking at bye weeks. I guess within the flex, you can kind of consider it too. But for me, I'm usually just looking at within running back within the groups.
Receiver. Yeah. Right. Absolutely.
All right. We get our guy Keaton Mitchell.
All right. I like it.
Yeah. That's a good addition to the team.
I like, and it kind of spoke to what I like a lot is I really don't mind correlating quarterback and running back. I think that's kind of fun. And we did with both. So.
Oh yeah. So I was gonna finish my or add a thought there on the quarterback running back correlation. So I agree with you. So totally like correlating quarterback with running back. I guess my only thing is I don't like having just the quarterback running back unless it's a pass catching running back is my only. So I like what you're talking about doing Goff with David Montgomery, but then you also had 2 other pieces with it. So I love that correlation when you can, as long as you have at least one legit pass catcher with the quarterback, I think is just my biggest, makes me feel good, makes me feel comfy with the team.
Right.
Maybe it's not the best way to draft with just going for what makes you comfortable, but I feel like it makes sense just from you have to win a tournament. If your quarterback's going to go off, it's usually going to be with a pass catcher.
Right.
So that's kind of my additional
Bijan,
thought.
how many targets do you think it'll be interesting? Because it's, a different offense with it, not an Arthur Smith offense. Hopefully, I hope he's a type of running back that gets targeted a good bit out of the backfield.
I would think that he should be without Arthur Smith there.
Right. That's how I'm looking at it, at least.
Yeah. So yeah, I think Bijan is one that does. Yeah, he qualifies as like we'd be fine if we just have Kirk and Bijan. Like I like double stacking in general, but I think that's totally fine. I think Bijan, we don't really know, but I think there's a good chance he's going to be targeted quite a bit.
Right. I hope so. the way I'm drafting him, I hope so.
But with that said, we could add Rondell Moore onto our Kirk Cousins stack. Just have that second piece.
That's fine with me. I mean, I don't know a ton about. He's probably going to be wide receiver 3, I guess, in that offense.
I would think, and I think there's some chance that he beats out Darnell Mooney also. Like I don't think it's necessarily. I think it's pretty clear he's going to be behind the top 3 in Pitts, London, and Bijan. But then after that, it's kind of open.
Right.
Bad Sox pointed out. So I accidentally drafted. That was one where I was like, I don't know if positional limits it, but I took Derek Carr by accident at the end of a draft. Yeah, and it was just like I didn't click that. I don't know how it happened, but thankfully I did have Kendre Miller. So theoretically, I do have a little bit of a stack there.
I mean, you mentioned him earlier. I'm just throwing it out there. If you're fine with your receiver room, you could go Bo Nix for a third stack.
That is true.
It's just an option. You don't have to because again, Lamar. But you're counting on Lamar to pretty much stay healthy all year, and so. And I know that's the way we draft, but again, I look at situations. A quick story, my BBM 3 finals team, Dak missed the first 6 weeks. And most people say, oh, well, that team's dead. But I had Cousins and Wentz, and Wentz only counted for 2 weeks, but he counted that helped push me into the second place in the pod. So again, I've seen how just like, even if a quarterback's, you can't be out for the season, but like if a quarterback just misses, 4 weeks, which sometimes these running quarterbacks do, then having just 2 options to help you have a floor isn't the worst thing in the world. And then you never know. I mean, it's amazing. Some of these guys like Baker was, I think quarterfinals week had to put up a big score. So you never know. So I'm just throwing it out there since we have Cortland Sutton, not to jam the three quarterback thing. But if there's another receiver or another position you like better, I totally defer to you.
Yeah, so Devontae Walker goes there, and I was not totally sold on Tez Walker being our guy anyway. Since we got Bateman, we have pretty strong Baltimore correlation already. So let's take a look at the receivers and see if anybody stands out that we really want to go. But I have started up Bo Nix because that would be not a lot of people are going to have Lamar Jackson in 3 quarterback build. So it would be if Lamar does, like if he gets hurt before the season, misses 8 weeks, we might be in a good spot having a unique 3 quarterback build.
Yeah, because if you can push a low on Lamar to playoffs, that's very enticing. Yeah.
So Houston, we don't have any like late Washington picks that I want to add on here for bringbacks.
Right, for correlation,
Theoretically, we could do a running back here also if there was somebody we love, but I mean, these guys are kind of always there. Dylan Lobby, Will Shipley. I think both are fine late round picks, but not somebody that we need to grab there. How do we feel about this? I mean, we have 8 receivers.
Yeah, I usually am fine with 8, and I know the 8 you said like the floors didn't feel as comfortable.
Jimmy.
No, come on.
I know. He was one who was saying earlier that he was getting sniped on all of his quarterbacks. So that we don't need him. That's cool with us. That's
okay. So as far as, I mean, you feel comfortable with the running back room, right?
I think we're pretty good. We kind of take our pick.
Solid ones there. Yeah. It's up to, I mean, are we up in 1?
We are up next. I feel like we go wide receiver is still probably our best bet here. I think, unless you see something different.
I mean, if you wanted to go Derek Carr with Kendre Miller, that's the only thing I see.
No. I don't want to do that. Oh, we do have Juwan Johnson too. That's kind of
you're Juwan Johnson. So you could go Derek Carr, or is Tolbert set? We took him in the last one. He's my favorite receiver on the board. So those would be my 2.
All right. Well, we talked through the 3 quarterback thing. I'm not going to do it very often with Lamar, but let's get one in there. Let's get weird.
So you'll put it to action. Yeah. You'll put our conversation to action, and yeah.
Exactly. We got the safer 3 quarterback room here. This would be, just Lamar gets hurt for half the season. We get a low own Lamar to the playoffs. Nobody else has him. He goes off for 40 points in week 16. Yeah, let's get weird. As Clinton says, we got a little weird. We got a little weird.
Exactly.
And it's still,
Yeah,
I still
I
think
mean,
it makes sense as a team.
yeah, I mean, I honestly don't know if I would be as addicted to best ball if I hadn't gotten that VBM 3 finals team as I am, and I am
Yeah.
addicted to best ball and love it. But I think it's funny you see these teams that do well, like the team that won this year and Kareem's team last year. Both were 3 quarterback teams, and you wonder, wow, would they have even made the playoffs without the 3 quarterbacks either ping ponging through? In my case, I know I wouldn't have made the playoffs having Dak miss the first 6 weeks that year. So yeah, it's just interesting. I lean into that bias, obviously, but I've also seen how it plays out and then giving the optionality in playoffs. Who knows? Maybe Derek Carr has a big. Someone talked about the Week 17 Saints Raiders game. Who knows?
Yeah,
Maybe he's the
point.
guy you need in Week 17.
There's nothing that says that Derek Carr can't go off in week 17, and maybe 2 touchdowns go to Juwan Johnson. Yeah, this is going to win us $750,000 a piece.
I feel good about this.
Yeah. I had a question. I forget what it was. So let's read off the team.
Sure.
So we end up with Lamar Jackson, Kirk Cousins, Derek Carr at quarterback. At running back, we have Bijan Robinson, Tony Pollard, Devin Singletary, Kendre Miller, Keaton Mitchell. At wide receiver, Nico Collins, Devonta Smith, Rome Odunze, Keon Coleman, Cortland Sutton, Brandon Cooks, Rashad Bateman, and Rondell Moore. And at tight end, we have Mark Andrews and Juwan Johnson. So 3 stacked up quarterbacks. So with Lamar, we have Keaton Mitchell, Rashad Bateman, and Mark Andrews.
Oh, my favorite running back, receiver, tight end. I love that.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
At Kirk Cousins, we have Bijan Robinson and Rondell Moore. So didn't get your tight end on that one, but still a double
stack. That's okay. He cost a little bit much. We couldn't that one since we got Mark Andrews. That's all good.
Yeah, I mean we can't do 3 triple stacks. Theoretically you could, but it's tough.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I don't do that. Yeah.
And then Derek Carr we have with Kendre Miller and Juwan Johnson. So just missing the receiver there. Feels pretty good. I like this team. I think the positional buckets, you could argue that we overspent at quarterback, but like Derek Carr was an 18th round pick. Like who cares? Yeah. And we have correlation. I like it. I think that team makes sense to me.
I like that. I like it a lot. I know I said about the team before, but I really do. And when I was skimming that Hayden Winks article, they said, when you do take a third quarterback, when you're taking them rounds 15 through 18, that can be very optimal. So again, I want to go through that article a lot deeper, but no, I think we hit on a lot of things they talked about being successful strategies the past 4 years. And I really like the overall correlation and I especially love that Baltimore stack bringing back with Collins. And I think we kind of hit all the points. I'm a big fan of this team.
Yeah, I think that team makes a lot of sense. Let's take a look at, so Jim drafted with us and of course sniped us on Bo Nix. But Jim has Kyler Murray, Deshaun Watson, Bo Nix at quarterback. At running back, he has Zach Moss, Trey Benson, Brian Robinson, Jerome Ford, Tyler Algier, and CEH. At wide receiver, he has Puka Nacua, Brandon Ayuk, Stephon Diggs, Jaden Reed, Jordan Addison, Jerry Jeudy, Michael Wilson. And at tight end, he has Trey McBride and Tyler Conklin. So he took Bo Nix unstacked there, I think. Interesting. Yeah.
Okay.
But he has Kyler Murray with Trey McBride. He also has Puka Nacua bring back on that one. So he has,
nice.
Oh, and Michael Wilson. So he has really strong correlation with Kyler Murray.
Cold-blooded.
Deshaun Watson he has with Jerome Ford, Jerry Jeudy, and then as I said, Bo Nix he just did to get out of the vengeance, I guess. Why are you so mad at us, Jim? We didn't snipe you.
Hey, who knows? Maybe Derek Carr is who we need, and he did us a favor. You never know.
Could be. That's what happened to Fareed last year. Yeah, he got sniped and ended up working out. So could
Jordan Love ended up being a very nice pivot.
Yeah, exactly. So worked out pretty well for us. And then we also had Star Kindler in here. So let's read off Star Kindler's team. Star Kindler ends with Jalen Hurts, Justin Herbert, Matthew Stafford at quarterback. At running back, he has Joe Mixon, Kenneth Walker, Jalen Warren, Jalen Wright, and Antonio Gibson. At wide receiver, he has A.J. Brown, Devontae Adams, Zay Flowers, Rashi Rice, Rashid Shaheed, Javon Baker, DJ Chark, Paris Campbell. And at tight end, he has David Njoku and Dalton Schultz. So he has Jalen Hurts. Of course, we sniped him on taking Devonta Smith, but he has A.J. Brown as Paris Campbell, who I don't know if you saw the rumors, Megan, but he's getting targeted a lot in practice of past few days.
Oh, okay.
What I've seen. And then he has Justin Herbert with DJ Chark. And then he has Matthew Stafford with nobody. Nobody with Matthew Stafford, unless I'm missing something. Yeah, unstacked Matthew Stafford. Okay. Interesting. But I guess, you got Matthew Stafford 33 picks past ADP.
Wow,
so
that's
just taking the value. Probably hoping for DeMarcus Robinson and got sniped.
Right. Right.
But overall, obviously, really strong quarterback room. Looks like strong running back room. He's got the guys who are going to do well early, and then he's got the late round Jalen Wright could really turn it on. Mm-hmm. Who knows? He could be good early as far as we know. Receivers look good. Yeah. How do you feel about this team for Starkindler?
Yeah, I like that because he did 8 receivers, I believe. Yeah, so I think he got the quantity he needed. So yeah, no, I really like I like the team overall. And yeah, when you get that kind of falling value, I never hate that. So
yeah, it's somebody was asking yesterday, like where would you take a quarterback? Like how far would a quarterback have to fall past ADP for you to take them unstacked, or like where you don't have the option of stacking? And I basically never do it. I never like that Stafford pick is not something that I would do unless I have a stacking partner that I can add later. It's like very, very rare for me to do that. Do you ever do that with the, like, would you take that value? I guess, do you see it differently? Like, just like, Stafford at that point, like he's a great value there. Would you be willing to take him without the core live pieces?
I probably would. And someone mentioned 30 picks. If it's that far, I probably would. And especially if it's a quarterback that I'm personally high on. If it's not a quarterback that I personally have high in my rankings, then probably not. But if it's a quarterback that I'm high on, and I am on Stafford in the Rams offense, then yes. Someone asked about Davis. What's his last name? The tight end, Davis.
Davis Allen.
Davis Allen, yeah. So you could have done like a last round Davis Allen, I guess. I guess he should be filling in.
Yeah.
I guess for at least the first part of the season. So I wouldn't hate doing something like that, and maybe he still plays a role.
Parkinson. Yeah.
Yeah.
To me, if I take that value, I would typically try to throw somebody late on. Now you can't always do that if you have a position you need to fill or something. So
right.
Yeah, it's one of those things that clearly like intelligent minds can differ. Like I'm more with crutches on this one of just like PSA, don't take unstacked zero mobility quarterbacks. But obviously you're saying like, just take the value in that spot. Starkindler feels the same way. And we've seen it work out where somebody did take the unstacked quarterback. So I think it's one of those things that like clearly intelligent minds can differ, which that's kind of the fun of best ball. Like
that is the fun of best ball. That's what I always say is like, we can all have different strategies that we like lean heavily into or feel strongly about, and we can all meet in the finals, because there are different ways to get there. And that's what I love about basketball is it's such a new format still in data for, we only been working on 4 years of data for BBM. So it's, can kind of take, and I think you and Tom talked about this a little, you can kind of take that data, make your own, judgments that you want to lean into and strategies that you want to lean into, and doesn't mean one's right or wrong, and we can both have success. And so I love that. And that's why I love so much about the format.
Yep, exactly. I guess to Crutch's point, I probably would have, if I had been Starkindler, I would have taken DeMarcus Robinson here at 183. So he was an option, but maybe he was hoping he could push him. I don't know. We all have different approaches, and I've seen teams in the finals that are completely unstacked altogether. So like there are a lot of ways to win at best ball. That is a lot of the fun of the format.
Absolutely.
All right, I think we read off all the teams that are in here with us. Megan, really appreciate you coming on the channel. This was a lot of fun.
So much fun. I loved it.
Where can people find you and your work?
Yeah, obviously Meg's 08 DFS on Twitter, fanspeak.com. All of our best ball content is free. We'll be having rankings to be downloaded soon as well. And Fanspeak Network. It's at Fanspeak Network on YouTube. We do 4 live drafts a week and plenty of other just best ball strategy shows, shorts, and other content. So we'll have you covered, both fanspeak.com, Fanspeak Network, with tons of best ball content all summer long.
All right. As you said, at Meg08DFS on Twitter. If you want to find the YouTube, I also linked it in the description of this video. If you want to just go click that to find where you can find Megan's YouTube work, go check out Fanspeak. Again, really appreciate you coming on, Megan. Appreciate the rest of you all hanging out with us while we drafted. This was a lot of fun. I don't think that I've lined up a guest for tomorrow. I've been telling people like, let's push it off to next week. I'm not sure if I'm going to reach out, have somebody on tomorrow, but I'm going to have my podcast tomorrow night. Playing for Keeps is going to go tomorrow night with Nerdy Tenor. That should be a lot of fun. So check that out at the very least tomorrow. Thank you guys for hanging out, and we'll catch you next time.